Buddy, this is the very exciting, very first game of Scrim Zone Season 10 playoffs between Albert's Inferno, and Qualmless Tiller. I am Blake. You know me well. I am joined here today by no one else aside from the one and only MVP of Scrim Zone Season 10, Grower.
Blake, I'm super excited to be here with you today. This is going to be an awesome series. And I don't believe I've ever gotten to cast with you before. And I'm so
Yeah.
excited for that because you are one of my favorite casters. So it
Well,
should be a
you're one
banger.
of my favorites too, Grooky Bear. I'm blushing a little bit and
Thank
kicking my
you. Thank
legs.
you. But what are your thoughts just going into this matchup?
So, looking at the rosters they put in right now, it actually
Which I
is
actually don't know
not
what they
Teddy
are.
playing today.
So, okay.
They have subbed in Vetus like they have, the past couple of games here.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's Brian in the top lane over Draco as well. I'm not too
Okay.
familiar with Brian. I know they played the last game as well.
I do
I
believe Brian is an actual top lane player, which,
Yes, this is true. Not a support main. I'm
yeah.
gonna go quickly into the post games and actually just double check Brian's
Yeah, I will say,
performance.
so Vitus is, I'm excited to see Vitus. So Vitus has actually only played one series this entire season, but it was against my team. It was against Rift Sharks. And Vitus played extremely well in those games. In fact, played so well that Vitus was actually recognized as the second team for sixth man. So people considered Vitus to be one of the best substitutes of the season, and
Really?
got
Wow.
that recognition off of an amazing performance just in one series. And as I said, I played in that series. I thought Vitus had three really good games. But especially that third game, the decider, Vitus pulled out the Varus pick, and you just had an absolute monster of a game. So really
Yeah,
good player. Excited to see more from them. Should be fun.
I'm definitely a big fan as well. Their performances have been pretty insane. Looking at Brian as well, pretty great performances in the INF series. I believe, or sorry, the SKT series. I believe that's the only series that they've played in so far. I could be incorrect,
Okay,
but
so a little bit of a different look from Alberts as we kind of go into playoffs. Seeing some people kind of getting, still kind of getting their first, or not first, but second, third series. So it's gonna be kind of exciting. What
yeah,
are we looking at on the other side? Because I
I
think
was
the
just
rest of the
about to
Alberts is
boot up
kind
the
of the known
slideshow.
quantities.
So we are looking for the side of QC. Their main roster actually, first time they've ran it in. Well, actually, is this the main roster? Hold on, I gotta squint my eyes and dot my t's. Yes, main roster. First time it's come out, I believe, since the SKT series. I believe they played it once there, and then aside from that, I
Yeah.
think their main roster has really been on the back burner. Obviously, playoffs, no more messing around. It's definitely
Yep.
time to go ahead and get in
Lock
there.
in
You
as
know,
lock in
yeah,
as the
lock
kids
in
say.
as the people said.
So yeah, this would be what is considered, I suppose, more their main roster. I will say it's interesting that they have it listed as they do right now because, we've primarily seen Rat go mid lane, Kage go AD carry, and Paul M go support. But they've listed it this way. As anyone that's familiar with the server, the rules, you're not required to keep it that way. But this indicates to me that they consider Vitus to be the main carry, or at least the high rank, the player you want to watch out for on Albert. So they're going to choose to match up Rat against Vitus. And that's interesting. We have not actually seen very much Rat 80 carry in the server this season.
Yeah, I
I'm
believe
not
we've
even sure
only
if this is his
seen.
first game. Has he played 80 carry
I
in team
believe
format
he
this
did
season?
play one game. Let me double check the stat sheet real quick before Dean kills me. Um, I
Don't
believe
give
there
him a
was one
reason.
game
He's
of AD
itching.
carry. I believe there was also a Varus game. I could be incorrect on that.
Uh,
Sorry, no, a Vayne game. There was one
Played
game.
one main game.
11 and
Into Hong
4.
Baba. Yeah. So they've actually found success with this particular lineup. So in that game, they had Paul go mid, Rat go AD carry, and Kage go support against Hong Baba and against Brian as well. So actually the exact same situation except Vitus in for Hong. So they feel comfortable with this, I guess, role setup going against this team. Um, I'm excited to see that. Rat just got awarded, rightfully so, is the number one mid laner this season. Got that first team recognition, has been playing amazingly. But they're choosing, hey, we're going to put you 80 carry, see what you can do. Against Vitus, who we've already said's played really well, so that's exciting. Now, what that indicates to me though is that if you're Alberts and you're thinking, what's our angle to attack? It's now mid lane, in my opinion. You have Omar, who has been one of the best mid laners this entire season, played exceptionally well, has had multiple just outstanding games. Probably has, in my opinion, the single best game of anyone this season when he played Akali and just went deathless and just absolutely carried a game. Going up against Paul, who haven't seen much of Paul mid lane. Obviously, he played against Omar earlier this season and won, but that's where I'm looking. I'm looking at Omar to try to maybe generate some sort of an advantage for his team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Looking outside of official games, which is a little bit less critical in the data, it's a lot of supportive picks coming up from Paul M, Zillion, Seraphine, Malzahar, Galio. Not exactly the hyper carries like Omar is more known for, Cassiopeia, the Hui, and especially the Akali that you just mentioned. So I think it's definitely going
Yeah.
to be a more passive role from Paul M here, looking to support his jungler on these invades, looking to support his bot lane as they definitely
Yeah.
clash. Speaking of the clash there, Vetus versus Rat. I mean, there's a reason
I mean,
the
yeah.
Scrims bot picked it as the matchup to follow. I think
Oh, it's yeah.
that's gonna be something to watch.
And, you mentioned that Paul favors more of the supportive mid lane picks, and when your jungler is Drakkar, it kind of works out as a pretty good pairing.
Yeah, I
Anytime you
think
have a great carry player in the jungle, those champions like Galio, Zillion, Seraphine, those champions get a ton of value.
exactly. And I trying to put into words what I'm thinking here. I think his pool is definitely very good into Omar. Again, if I see Galio Malzahar in the pool, and I'm Omar, I'm gonna be like, well, I don't think I want to play Akali today. I think I want to go home and pack my bags. Um, so I don't think we're gonna be getting anything particularly spicy there, considering the amount of counter picks it could be on the table. I think maybe just a Hoi blind coming up from Omar if he does have the blind, obviously. I think a lot of prio and draft will be definitely put onto the bot lane. I think top lane completely out the window. We're just gonna blind Renekton and move on with the day. I think
Yeah.
bot lane is going to be definitely dropped. Try to get some more leverage there because again that is the critical matchup here.
So critically, QC was the higher seed. They were the 2 seed in the playoffs. They're actually going up against the third place team or no, the fourth place team in Albert's Inferno, because as first place, BB got the opportunity to pick their opponent, and they chose to play up against the third place team, Nutbusters, because they got to
Mistake.
choose between 3 and 4. But what that does is it leaves us with QC being the higher seed in this matchup. Therefore, they have side selection, and they've opted for the blue side. What are you expecting as we get into draft as far as why'd they pick blue? What's their first pick priority? And is there any like must bans that you expect to see come out?
Well, I was just about to mention. Thankfully, that the slideshow brought us here. I think it's the Varus. I think the Varus is the main overlap between these two. It said on there that Rat also had Zeri as well, and Zeri is one of Vetus's most played. I think the Varus might come down to the prio that or what they're trying to prio here. Again, I know I did just mention we're gonna drop bot picks and try to counter pick each other. Maybe the plan is just to blind something to take it away from Albert's
Yeah,
Inferno.
it's possible. We're getting into draft. I expect to see Zed
Ah,
banned.
shoot, I pressed the wrong
Drakar's
button.
undefeated on that champ this season.
Yeah, I'm expecting maybe if they're confident it's Rat 80 carry, they might drop the Kiana ban. I believe it's going to be Zed, Kiana, Ash, maybe one of Rat's more powerful picks. First, we have the Hui taken away from Omar. Definitely, again, very potent on the character right there. Zed taken away from Jakar. Again, pretty standard stuff right now. Kha'Zix as well, another assassin he's played, with Jinx being taken away from Vetus there. I didn't see Vetus in like the little champ preview thing. Vetus had a lot of Jinx games, unless I'm just blind. A bit more odd, but it's a lot more of a safe character. Tons of buffs in a row, especially that 25 attack range at level 1 now. That was a huge buff the character just got.
Right. I think Varus first pick potentially could make a lot of sense, as you pointed out. It's kind of an overlapping champion between the two players, but also it's a very flexible champion. There's so many builds. I think the most popular one right now is kind of the attack speed tankier build. But if the comp that you're playing against doesn't suit that, you can always go back to like the poke build. So there's no shortage of fitting that champion into your comp.
Yeah, exactly.
Nautilus ban,
Sorry,
interesting
not
to me.
Varus. Zeri and Nautilus taken away from QC and Albert, respectively, respecting Vetus' pick on the Zeri there. Nautilus, a little bit more confused. I think Kage on support has been going for like more of these Warden characters, like a lot of Tarek, a lot of Braum. Nautilus seems like a little bit more outside of their comfort zone, but maybe he's got a nasty Nautilus.
I do believe Kage likes to thresh. Paul Lim has primarily played support for this
Oh
team, and
shoot,
he is
I'm
the one
mixing
that has
them
been
up.
spamming the Taric this season. But they're just going to go ahead and first pick a Galio, and that explains the Hui ban to me. Hui would be a pretty good matchup into the Galio, and when you look at the rest of what Omar likes to play, I do think Cassiopeia is then the option. Now, do they have it in their bag to flex the Galio to support her top? Potentially. But, in my opinion, Omar's best champion might be the Cassiopeia. It's not been as played as some of his other champions in the server, but when he came into the server last season, that was like his champion, and I do think he is the best Cassio in the server. So excited to see that. Good matchup in the Galio. And then Janna for Jeremy, that's just been one of his great champions, a really great enchanter player.
Yeah, I certainly remember having to ban Casio a couple of times last season in the first few seasons that Omar was in the server. Jeremy, going for the Janna instead. I know he's. Ooh. Okay, I think the roles have already been shaken up unless Jakar is taking the
Yeah, I
Kiana
mean, you
here.
leave it open, you're kind of asking for it.
Yeah, they are confident, however. I guess they assumed it must have been Rat going AD carry, but maybe they're shaking it up, putting Rat mid. Could also change the roles even further, put Paul
They
M
could
down in
put Rat
support.
jungle and put Drakar AD carry as well. The Kiana can go jungle or mid lane. And I don't even doubt the fact that Drakar could probably play Kiana. So I expect it's in Rat's hands, but we will see. Malachi is most likely going to be going to Chow top lane. He's played that to some great success this season. But I do think if it is top lane Malachi, it's definitely a champion that's a little bit punishable if you blind pick it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not again not too familiar on Brian's champ pool. I know there's some tanks in there, and I know I saw Renekton as well. Udyr being picked up over here, I believe that's for Albert, but I could
It
double
should
check that
be,
real
yeah.
quick.
Has played some Udyr this season. I will say, as good as Rat's Kiana is, I do think champions like Udyr and like Cassiopeia are not like the worst things in the world. That if you're gonna give it to them, like that's what you want to play into. You want to play champions that build health, that get tanky, that are difficult to one shot. Um,
Yeah,
so
I
we'll
definitely
see how
agree
they
here.
round
This
their
looks like a
top out.
Cassio playfield right here. Like Kiana, Maokai, Galio, tanky, short range, just things she loves to destroy. Speaking of Van, sorry to cut you off there. Blitzcrank from the
Oh,
side
you're
of
good.
AL, just trying to take away the John the counterpick, and now Vayne being taken away from Vetus.
Yeah, I do think you're going to want to see a really high range AD carry on the side of QC. Someone that can not have to like be forced to play into Cassiopeia's range. Um, but I'm curious to see. I assume we're going to hold last pick for AD carry at this point on Alberts because you've already locked in your mid laner and you assume it's Maokai top. Perhaps they're going to hold top, but with all these AD carries getting pinched, we're left to some really like lower down the tier list kind of champions. I'm not really sure what jumps to mind here as kind of being like your next favorite pick.
Yeah, slim pickings especially. I doubt it would be. Yeah, look at that. Just going to be the 80 carry last pick. What we expected. I do believe it's going to be Maokai top. I don't think it's Drakar's nature to pick a tank like that, especially blind. I
Yeah,
think.
depending on what gets locked in here, I think something like Zaya could end up being a really good pick for the side of Albert's Inferno if QC doesn't pick an 80 carry in bot lane that's like a super hard lane matchup.
Zaya, I definitely agree. My second pick actually being hovered right now. I was gonna say Sivir looks pretty fantastic here. A ton of short range champions. Looks like it's gonna get stolen away by QC. I like the speed up here. I think it's decently useful, but again, you're kind of trying to ball out with the Cassiopeia. Spell Shield can help blocking the 1Q, but it's still difficult to out damage her, even as the Sivir.
Yeah, definitely. And really, I think a Zaya angle here for Albert's Inferno could potentially be really smart. Maybe not like your traditional ideal pairing with a Janna, but certainly doable. You could also go for a little bit more of an outrange opportunity because they've also picked pretty low range comp. I don't know if he has something like the Aphelios in his bag or what, but with these final picks locked in, it appears it is going to be Kiana jungle, Malachi top, and Galio mid.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about the Taric here, or the Sivir for that matter. Again, super duper low range into the Cassio, and you're just kind of running into a bunch of champions you don't want to be running into. Cassio's going to freeze you, slow you down. John is going to push you away. You just got the storm raging, and Udyr is just not somebody you want to be near. And then
I would
Yunara.
hadn't even really thought about that champ, but I think Unara is a good pick here. And the QC comp's kind of low damage. Like you have a lot of burst out of Kiana, and then Sivir is Sivir, but if the side of Alberts is able to like survive the early game and get some health and armor built onto like the Udyr and the Urgot, I could see it being pretty difficult to actually take their front line down.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'll never underestimate the damage of Galio. I've made that mistake many times, but I think there definitely could be some damage issues, and I love the Yunara pick as well. Just loves to chew through these frontliners with the
Yeah,
spread damage with Runons. Does she still build that? I don't know. I don't play that character.
I haven't seen as much Yunara lately since the nerfs, but excited to see how does it perform, what kind of build does Vitus opt for. But it's a really fun character, really exciting character, and to see a high skill player on it should be really fun.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I don't know if I'm gonna make champion assets in time, considering I have to redo the whole roster. Because I assume it's Rat Jungle on Kiana,
I
and
would
then we
assume.
have Drakkar on Galio, or it's Drakkar on
Ah,
Sivir.
yeah, probably one of those. I mean,
I don't know. I'm scratching my head. I got a little question
I'm
mark
not
above my
gonna
head like
lie
the
though, if Drakkar
cartoons.
can play Kiana, I might just keep it at that and let Rat play the Sivir. But
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll,
he
we'll
might just be
see.
able to.
But I mean, the Taric is also like a Paul Lim champion over a Kage champion, so it might end up being Paul Lim support, and they put Kage mid on the Galio.
We'll definitely have to see. Looking here as well, I know I think Udyr's clear is a little bit weaker now than it used to be. I've heard Mason complain a thing or two about it. So we could be looking for maybe some engage or invades off the Kiana level 3 if the Urdu can't keep up and clear. But I'm not a jungle player. I don't play bad roles, so I don't really know too much.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of the Kiana Udyr matchup, but I would assume that Udyr just does his little ice form on you, and he's pretty happy. Like if you're not one shotting him from the start, he's gonna be tanky, and he's gonna kind of AoE you, and even if you have like the grass element of Kiana to go kind of invisible or camouflage, the Udyr is still damaging you if he's in his whatever the ice form is. But really fun drafts for this game one. Excited to see it. I would say I favor the Alberts draft though. I think and to be fair to them too, QC had side select. So for the last however many days, QC has decided most likely what side they're taking. They knew their matchup for a week and have had plenty of time to prep how they thought this draft would go and opted for the blue side, opted for the first pick. But I thought Alberts responded extremely well with every single pick of their draft. I think they got a comp they're very happy with, and you never want to see draft gap in a playoff series, and I think right here we have two teams with two comps that are both super playable, and I think Alberts is going to be really comfortable, which is always impressive when you don't have that side select because you have to have so many more contingencies in mind.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Lots and lots and lots of comfort here from Alberts, especially that Cassiopeia. I think that Albert is definitely a dangerous player on that.
Omar, that is, but
Ah, man, I did it again.
I know it's confusing, but I actually am really excited to see Omar on Cassiopeia this game. I think this is actually an amazing Cassiopeia spot. I think Omar has been one of the best mid laners this entire season. He's been playing super well, one of his best champions, and I'm just really excited to see what Omar can do. And I think if Alberts is able to win this series, it will be in large part off of Omar performing really, really well. I expect Vitus to play well. But I think if Omar can show that the peak level that he's been able to show a few times this season, that's how you can get what I think many people would consider a pretty big upset over this essentially main QC roster.
Yeah, I do certainly agree there. I think Alberts, we didn't really get to see the best of them for the whole of the regular season. I think obviously, 4 games in a row is pretty damning that they're definitely a team to watch out for. But still certainly the underdogs in this game. QC did falter a little bit in the regular season towards the end, picking up 2 losses, or sorry, picking up the extra loss versus BB. But again, that was really the main roster. That was just testing the waters. I think they're definitely out for business.
Well, considering the way that they've lined up, it is indicating if they've lined up, in the order of how they're playing, then it would indicate that potentially it's Drakkar taking the Kiana into the jungle, and they are going to put Rat on the Sivir.
Yeah, it does look like that. Rule is as it was in the roster tool.
Well, outside of
Kage mid on the
they did
Galio.
they did switch Kage to mid, whereas they had listed Paul as mid originally. So they did switch that. But honestly, I kind of like this. I'm sure Jakar can play a good Kiana. Like as much as it is Rat's champion, I think Rat is probably the best AD carry on this team. I mean, I think when he hit Masters, he's been playing a ton of mid, but I think primarily on his climb to Masters, he was playing AD carry. So I'm excited to see him pilot up against Vitus. Really, really fun stuff here. And I think you need whoever's playing the Sivir to be really proficient this game because there's going to be a lot of weight on the Sivir's shoulders to carry this one. Like, as good as Kiana is, as good as Jakar is, as we've already said, I think the comp he's playing up against is pretty difficult. It's a lot of pressure on Rat to really do damage this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of pressure on Rat, a lot of pressure on Drakkar as well. Maybe finding some sneaky picks on the Janna, being a good flanker, stuff like that. And I think the rest of the pressure is on Rat, like you're talking about. I think there's potential to 1v1 the Cassiopeia, or sorry, Cassiopeia and the Yunara. Um, but again, you're a little outrange. I believe Sivir, is she 525 or 550? I wouldn't know off the top of my head. I know Yunara is 575. So obviously, if Vetus is feeling on point, there's not really an easy way for the Sivir to touch her without like sacrificing auto attacks.
Yeah, I agree. We haven't really talked about it yet, but as our resident top lane expert, what are your thoughts on the Urgot to Maokai? Because I mentioned that I think Maokai is good for Chow, but I think it's punishable blind, and to me, Urgot seems like it would be a good answer. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's a good answer. I think we know what champion I would have picked into the blind tank, but we don't have to talk about that.
Mordekaiser.
I'm not a merchant. I'm not a merchant. I swear. Urgot does pretty well in the tanks. You've seen him from Pwipo in the LCS or LTA. Sorry, no, back to the LCS. I'm right again.
Back to the LCS,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. As a counterpick to these tanks, the max health damage on the W is really strong, especially in extended trades. Does pretty well into the Kiana as well. Kiana just kind of hates walking up to him, do the burger flip, drop the R on her, and then she can just kind of get killed. I think there were maybe some better options, but honestly, I am perfectly fine with the Urgot. A lot of pressure for the Grubs fight as well. I think top side without the bot side coming to intervene, so much stronger. I don't know what Kiana and Galio are going to do to the Udyr and the Cassio. I feel like there's no way to burst through them.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Omar is not just getting like caught out by the Galio to the point where they're able to like full combo with CC, and then Kiana gets to do like a full combo while Cassio cannot respond with abilities. Like, I really think it's gonna be difficult to ever really approach Omar, especially if you know he's able to survive the super early game and get to the point where he has his Rod of Ages, he has his Seraph's Embrace. Because at that point, Cassiopeia gets so damn tanky.
Yeah, I agree. I I'm gonna say it. I think the Kiana was a mistake. I'm gonna say it. I know it's Rat and it's Drakkar, and they're like, okay, we gotta ball out. Kiana's left open. We gotta ball out. We gotta show him it's worth it. It's the Mike Rengar, you know. Um,
Yeah, I do. I could agree with you there. Sometimes you get your pick left open that isn't left open very often, and you just take it. I've been there. That I've done that, and it can work still because sometimes you're so good on these champions you can make them work even in like the not completely optimal spot. But you're putting a lot of pressure on it, and if this game goes poorly, that's definitely something people are going to come back and look at and say, well, maybe that's where we made a mistake in the draft.
I definitely agree, and it's a little hard because honestly, QC is a bit on the clock here. I Their scaling is good. Don't get me wrong. You know, Sivir and Kiana scale really well. Tarek as well. But you're still getting outscaled in pretty much every lane. Urdu does phenomenally late game. Cassio and PN Unargo without scaling. I think Urgot is great late game too, especially into this really tanky short range comp. I think Urgot does fantastic. No real checks for him in the side lane as well.
Definitely. Now, I will say Paul Lim has been extremely good on the Tarek this season. I don't think Tarek's probably like the ideal pick into Janna, and it's pretty free lane for Janna Unara, I would think. Um, but I do think Paul Lim has been very good on the Tarek. His team has done a very good job of playing around Tarek Ultimate, which can oftentimes be a little bit challenging, especially if you're playing with a Tarek who's not super comfortable. It's really easy to use that too early or too late. And if you do that, the cooldown's so long, and if you use it too early, teams can just back away. If you use it too late, you're dead before it matters. And So it's difficult, but when it's used correctly, it's super powerful. And I do think Paul is, very good at Taric. So that could potentially be a big deal for them. If you have like the Taric ult coming down onto all your carries, it doesn't matter if Cassiopeia does a ton of damage into them because they're invulnerable.
Yeah, I certainly agree there. You did say like it could be worrisome if the Taric player isn't too comfortable, but I think Paulum is pretty damn comfortable in this character.
Oh yeah,
To add a bit of credit to his upcoming performance. I don't know why we
yeah,
can't
he's
see
been
names.
great.
I did not have that toggled off, but oh well. I'm sure you guys know who everybody is. I think you can smell Omar's aura from here, right?
You can see them on the right as well if you are bad at
That
memory.
too. That would
Um,
that would be helpful.
Yeah, runes looking pretty standard. Summoner spells looking pretty standard. You do have the cleanse on Yunara. Snark opted to take cleanse. Has that to get away from some of the CC, but everything else pretty standard. First strike on Kiana. I assume that's good. Jakar took it, but I don't
Yeah,
know too much about that.
bit
But
of a greedier, more scaling-ish setup, but it's pretty fine into a tank early game. You're not really gonna get invaded by the Odir unless you're just getting like counter invaded. Cross map or yeah, cross mapping. Doing top bot split stuff like that.
and they do have both junglers got vision on their Raptors, but Jakar cleared his with a sweeper, whereas Omar's
Very
had grenade.
checking. Oh, that's a huge chunk to start off the lane.
Yeah, really big damage at level 1 there. Yeah, that's the way Taric can, reach you in the early game is you walking up to him.
Yeah, exactly. And expending the ward there early. I don't expect Drakar to go for anything insane bot side, like some weird level 3 dive on the Janna and the Yunara here, but that chunk right there certainly allowed him to if he would have wanted to go for that.
Are pathing opposite directions this game. We have Udyr pathing towards bot, whereas Jakar is pathing towards top.
Yeah, Cole in Rat's inventory, along with like the really premature shoving, makes me think that they're just gonna try to just permanently be pushed up to the tower, and that's also why Drakar is pathing away. Trying to go into this more aggressive lane.
Yeah, and if you notice, they used their bot priority that they gained from that level 1 trade to push in, and then they walked up and put a deep ward in between Albert's blue and Grump. So although they kind of knew he was going to be there because that's where he started, now they have the true confirmation, and they will see exactly what Albert does as he finishes those camps.
Yeah, and that's definitely been one of the strengths of this team here. QC has just been the let's do everything for the jungle. Every single game you're seeing them getting early wards, early invades, trying to let Drakar or Rat, whenever Rat's on jungle, have as much space as possible.
That's a good call out. Like, I think Drakar is, rightfully so, rewarded as the best jungler in the server, but, you got to recognize in part his team does a great job of supporting and playing around him. Like, it's definitely a team effort when it comes to QC and their success.
I absolutely agree. And what we just saw there in the bot lane, that's kind of an example of what you're talking about. This Janna just kind of buys space, slows down the Taric, and just makes his life miserable. Both junglers now finishing up the full clear. It looks like Rat is going for an invade on the
No, it's a
Krugs. No, it's going to be a wraparound gank.
Dodges that ward by hopping over the pit, and I do believe Brian's just going to go down here.
Yeah, great use of the blue Q right there. I barely even saw him grab that right there. That was a really fast combo, really well played from Drakar there, sneaking over the vision in the river.
Yeah, full clear into a first blood. I mean, that's just as good as you could get for the Kiana early game.
These trades in mid lane have been going pretty rough for Omar. The phase rush makes it a little bit harder to trade back on top of the Galio, but his spacing has not been exactly perfect. Getting hit by a lot of the E's here.
Yeah, I don't think the spacing has been exactly what you want, but as long as he can, not actually die, manage to, keep his farm lead that he has right now and get to his items, eventually that will be okay. But yeah, so far, Kage doing a good job to, pressure Omar, keep the priority in the lane, and not allow Omar to, really push him under the turret.
Yeah,
but, Galio does a lot of damage early game, to be fair, too. I mean, if you hit the combo, it's there.
I got some choice words for the Galio character. Gnome is yelling at me to turn on player names. I'm pretty sure I don't have them turned off. I'm censoring. Hold on, there's something going on by the way. Okay, just a standard trade. We're good. Sorry about this, everyone.
I think it's possible, perhaps. Interface, maybe? Was it not there? Did you not scroll past it?
I think I might have.
Back up.
I don't see
Show
it.
names above health bar. Show names above health bar. The drop down. You had it.
I had Thank you. We're saved. We're saved. Stream is
We
watchable.
figured it out.
Stream is watchable. I also blame Beam. Rat Poison here falling pretty low in the bot lane. A little hard to get aggressive into the Taric, especially when you have, you know, the John, this defensive character, but could, these health bars here could mean that Albert, who is on the bot side of the jungle right now, could go for a pretty free drag right now. Have the Galio basing right now, has a TP up, obviously, but no Kiana to help contest here, so could be a pretty free gain. And they definitely want to start stacking these Drakes as well. That'll make their scaling even more potent in the late game.
Yeah, and I think grubs are really important this game too. If a team with Urgot is able to grab grubs, that tower taking, especially when he's going to be playing into two champions, and we haven't really said this yet, neither Malachi or Galio can match Urgot in the side lane as we get into late game, and frankly, Malachi and Galio can't match Cassiopeia either. So side lane, as we get later into the game, will be really favored for Alberts, in my opinion. And if you can get that grubs power on your side, that could be massive.
I agree there exactly, and I think that's why we see Drakar crossing back down to the bot side. These grubs are also pretty useless for QC as well. It's just there's no real split power on them. Galio can do okay in the side lane, but against Urgot and Cassiopeia, like you were just saying, it's not a winning battle.
Both teams have vision in the river. QC has a ward on the dragon, and Albert's have the scuttle crab vision, so neither team looking to take that super early.
Brian getting locked up
Brian
underneath tower,
actually
taking
getting
a lot
low
of
here,
damage.
though.
That's just a clean solo kill from Chow. Wow, gets the excellent reach around on there. Locks him up with the ulti underneath tower, and this is too much for the Urgot. Drops the ulti to try to get something back, but there's not enough time to get the damage off.
Yeah, forget the name of the item that's sitting in Malachi's inventory right now.
The Warden's Mail.
The Warden's Mail, but I think that's a really intelligent first purchase. I think that really hurts Urgot, reducing those incoming damage from champion attacks by 15. Blocked 180 so far. Not a massive amount, but just
considering
builds
the
that
short
straight
amount of
armor.
time he's had it, I think that's a huge amount. And the tab buy coming down as well, those autos are tickling.
Yeah, I guess if it's 15 per auto, that does add up quite quickly. And then, now has bought the plated, sold it, went for the burn.
Going on to Albert here, but the Janna is here to match. Galio gets a phase rush and just walks away. Could have been something dicey, but the phase rush obviously saves the Galio there.
Well, it's a really big roam up by Jeremy. If it's just 2v2 there, that could potentially look scary from the side of Alberts, but Paul Lim has opted to stay in the bot lane, so it's a 4v3 over here.
Yeah. He's getting a little damaged here. The wave is a little bad. Oh, but what if he just has the damage to do it himself? Oh my god, pops the exhaust and the Taric ulti. Going a little deep.
He's looking for the kill.
Ooh, but getting a little too aggressive there. I'm not sure why he went in. He must have been really feeling himself.
Yeah, because I think at best there, you're getting traded by Rat. There's no world where you kill and get out or kill both. Thought he could get Paul and then, I guess, trade with Rat, want some gold, but I think he had completely owned them in that trade until he chose to go back in, whereas he could have just backed up and caught this massive wave under turret. And in the end, despite the fact that, you lose grubs, that's massive for the side of QC's bot lane.
Yeah, and even if you do trade 1-for-1, you're losing that big stacked wave, and it's 2 plates over to the side of QC as well. It's 125 extra gold on the Taric and the Sivir each. It's both
frankly, I think that's a pretty big mistake. It's also the third kill, which gives over the kill feats to the side of QC. I thought the roam up by Jeremy was genius. You secure the grubs. Frankly, Vitus just needed to back off there, did not, and now QC has a almost 2K gold lead ahead of 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and maybe with the Taric ulti, the Taric flash, exhaust, and the Kiana being topside to reap the Udyr one more time. Nope, wrong one. Urgot one more time. Able to flash out Brian here. Keep himself safe. Maybe with the Taric sums, the Taric ulti being down there looking for the dragon.
Yeah, probably most likely can just secure the dragon here.
Ooh,
You know,
hold on.
oh, that's actually big damage. That's 2 turret shots onto Chow. But Brian used his ultimate there a little early and doesn't get him low enough, and I think Chow's just fine now.
Yeah, looks like a collapse coming down here from QC. Albert's looking onto this bot side right now. Directed cam, please.
Car's coming in with ultimate, though. This could be massive.
Yeah, the
Paul M does have
Galio ulti
ultimate
looks
on
like
the
it's gonna
Galio,
lock somebody
too.
up. We're watching the top lane fight. Kiana ulti locks
Big
John
ultimate.
up. Great ulti from Jeremy, but it's not enough.
Saves everybody else, but Jeremy does go down there in the end, and just a good punish by QC. Albert stuck around a little long after they got the dragon. Wait,
Whoa.
Paul's just in the...
Paul was tanking turret. I didn't even
aggro,
notice.
But he took aggro, so that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm not
All right, they get something back. That's a kill on Dividus, and they needed that because, I mean, pretty big gold lead already. 2.5K to the side of QC at 10 minutes.
I'm not even sure what made him tank there. Maybe he hit the Yunara there with.
Or if he walked in, perhaps, or if he walked in like as you sometimes do, like an inch ahead of the first minion, and you don't realize. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but
yeah, that definitely could have been it there.
And frankly, I think what's most concerning to me, I think the gold lead is concerning, but you do scale really well on the side of Alberts, but top lane, it's looking pretty bad right now for the Urgot. Down about 30 farm, down quite a bit of gold. And, I'm sure eventually if he gets those items, he'll start to turn that matchup. But with the massive lead that Chow has accumulated, that side lane pressure I was talking about is going to take a lot longer to show up.
Yeah, these repeat ganks and these missteps by Brian have definitely costed him a lot. This matchup, tanks can be a little difficult for Urgot in the early game, especially with all the armor that can come down on the great items, armor items that are into him. But it's definitely not this bad of a matchup. And we see Drakar again in the top side.
I do believe that that missed E from Brian trying to go in there is just going to result in his death. Drakar's just like, oh, okay, I can run up there now. Because Chow can lock you down for a year. I mean, looking really comfortable on this Malachi pick, playing it really, really well so far. And frankly, setting up Drakar perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely just giving him a lot of alley-oops here. The Urgot's not worth too much gold anymore. It was only like 129 for that kill right there, but Drakar is sharing these plates happily with his top laner right now, giving an even bigger boon to his lead right now. I think with the Kiana ulti, they could dive him right here. Oh, wait, it's Omar TPing top.
Big
damage. A little aggressive under Drakar there. Has the ulti still? Oh, just barely doesn't come out.
Oh, man. Very, very close there. If Omar's able to get the Petrifying Gaze off there, might have even been able to turn that, but...
Omar getting locked up there and just dies
kill.
on the invade as well. Great from Paul M and Kage there to help back him up. Again, this jungle, like, centering on... this jungle focus on QC has just been immaculate from them. They're always there to defend, always there to back up the invades, always there for this and that. It's just so hard to stay on pace with Drakar.
Definitely. Snart getting good damage down, but it's really hard to ever confirm kills onto a Sivir Taric lane.
Yeah, exactly. Still both sums up from the Sivir there. Still have the Taric ulti, the exhaust. It's super hard to kill. Drakar back in the bot side here. Noticeably, Vias still does not have their flash up. They do have the John ulti for the extra peel there. Getting aggressive. Just gets blocked out by the John ulti right there. Jeremy has been so good with these ultis. It's just snapping, it's going. Like, I've barely even seen like the animation play. Jeremy is super quick with these.
Right.
Plates have finally fallen at 14 minutes now. Looks like Vitas and Jeremy are trying to get that bot tower first. They're putting down a lot of damage onto it. I'm not sure what the state of it is. Okay, good. Able to pick up that feat for themselves. So it is Trag and the Grubs over to Albert as well. So they can still reclaim these feats with the next objective if they were to get it.
Yeah, and if you're able to secure that, that would be nice. And we are getting some item completions coming online. First items for the side of everybody except the Urgot opted to go for the Swifty boots and has built components of 2 different items. So delaying his first completed, but with Leandri's completed on both Udyr and Cassiopeia, that is a lot. And Kraken Slayer on Zeri, Nara's big.
Kage and Rat were getting aggressive, but he gets dropped by the Kraken proc. Didn't even expect the damage there. Barry didn't come out. Super well played from Vetus and Jeremy there. Vetus didn't even have to flash. They're giving up the dragon there, but it's a great shot.
Jeremy there to kind of get them to overcommit, and then, as you said, Vetus just punching him down with the Kraken Slayer damage. I've seen Yunaris go for Kraken Slayer. I've seen him go for a couple different items, even the Blade of the Ruin King, as well as the other item I'm forgetting the name of right now that a lot of creating carries will build. But I do like the Kraken Slayer build a lot personally. It didn't work there.
Yeah, a little forced to trade the objectives here. Had to drop the dragon.
Jakar still has ult, so I think this is dangerous for the side of Alberts.
Getting a little too aggressive, just blows up Albert as well. Brian stuck in the pit. Maokai flashing over.
Chow flashing over into the Yunara, though. I don't know if you wanted to do that. And Omar's here.
Omar can go huge
Omar
here.
has everything up.
Huge pro slow from Omar, and Vetus is just going insane. Gets taunted up for a moment, but not able to find the damage.
Okay, I think both teams overplayed it a little bit there. Albert's probably, with Kiana and everything up, kind of needed to back off there, but then Chow flashing over the wall is just way too aggressive. I don't think he realized maybe that Vitus had walked up for that play, but at that point, you've overextended into the Cassiopeia, into the Yunara, and that finally looked like a really good setup as of how Alberts would want to play out fights.
Yeah, even then, the Urgot, again, not worth that much gold. A little bit of a foolish decision to flash there, I believe. Urgot... Whoa, we had a King Crimson right there. They had a pause right there. General apparently had to restart the computer. Albert has now activated the scripts and it will be gliding on the Udyr. He's activated his range auto attacks. Yeah, the shutdown on the Maokai did go over to the Urgot, which, I think you might have rather your Cassiopeia or your Yunara get that, but that's going to be a pretty big boon for him, able to get him back into this game.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I didn't mention it yet, but Omar actually opted not to go for the Rod of Ages on the Cassiopeia. Went straight into the Leandries and is now building into the Seraph's Embrace. So, felt that he wanted that, power spike of the Leandries versus like the super scaling of the Rod of Ages. And I think it does make sense here. Leandries is going to get a lot of value done.
Or Brian just getting caught up again. That was a really good Kiana ulti there. Coming in long range, able to walk him up alongside the Maokai ulti, and then they just pull him up again. It's going to be the top tower falling there as well.
The Maokai is just such a great pick when your jungler, wants to play these carry-type champions. I mean, just has perfect gank setup. It's really, somewhat hard to punish in lane unless you're playing up against an extremely, competent player on a hard counter pick. But the Chalice just navigated this lane perfectly, continued to set Jakar up. And, this has resulted in Jakar being 6-0-1 right now. I mean, that's pretty scary on the Kiana.
Yeah, and this Maokai is just looking a little immortal right now. I think that's going to be a Kanik Rookhorn coming down onto him with the Spectre's Kala right there. I could also be the Spirit Visage. I know it's pretty good on the Maokai with healing. And I think it's just going to be hard. Even with a Cassiopeia and an Udyr, burning through it is going to be a little hard. Although they are both excellent users of Bloodletters, Udyr especially, so they can shred away at least a little bit of that. As for the Cassiopeia's build, I think it's okay to be without the Roa. I think Leandri's first is pretty good, so long as she gets another defensive item aside from just the Seraphs there. I want to see well, Zonias or something like that.
I think Zonias would make sense. I feel like there are 4 items that, well, I'll say it after this play. A lot of damage down by Snark. I feel like there's 4 items the Cassiopeia kind of has to have this game. The Leandries to kill the tanks, Seraph's Embrace. I would have said potentially Roa, but then I think you also have to have Rylai's. So I think potentially a Rylai's third into this low-range melee comp could be massive. It gives you health. It's a defensive item in that sense. Will give you more health. I'd like to see potentially that come out as the third item here for the Cassiopeia, since we've opted not to do the Rod of Ages build. And, a 3-item spike of Leandries, Seraphs, and something like the Rylai's would be immense power for the Cassiopeia to, start taking over these mid-game team fights.
Yeah, I agree. I also think something like a Banshees could be pretty powerful. Their main way of engaging is just this Maokai ulti, and if you can just sit there and soak that up, I think that's great. You do have some pretty beefy frontliners that can take it for you, but I still think that if you're ever caught out, that Banshees could save your life against the Maokai. Speaking of builds as well, oh my god, Drakar has 3 items already. These assassin items, they made him a little too cheap. It's a little silly. Has the
Well, he
serpent
is
staying
6
there.
kills, but very rich man on the Rift right now.
Yeah, I don't know how to check the gold lead. I don't know what the keybind
Press
is.
X.
X?
Press X.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
3.7 thousand gold up on
Almost
Albert.
4K gold up on the other jungler. And I don't even think Omar's had a bad game. Jakar has just been spoon-fed this game off of some really intelligent ganks top lane.
Yeah, and looking at the CS lead now, oh, and TPing into contest this Drake. Brian, oh, sorry, that's Chow TPing, my fault. I thought that was Brian TPing.
Yeah, that's something Chow does a lot. QC is very happy to just sack their side lane and teleport as many players to objective as possible. That's definitely something I've seen out of Chow, and now they're going to try to turn that pressure into an Otacon, and it makes a ton of sense. Albert's Inferno, I guess, is just happy giving it. Doesn't feel like they can fight it right now, but I don't know about that. I'm not sure if he wanted to give Otacon here, but that's the decision.
I mean, currently, I don't really see a world where they win. They were able to get 2 towers off the back of giving both those objectives. It feels rough, but I think it's a fine gold lead or gold boon to get for themselves. A lot of it got put on Avitas as well, which is exactly who you want it to be on. Avitas is looking super duper strong. Has the Kraken and the Runons, just destroys these meatbally sort of comps. Probably getting a little aggressive there. Malphite ulti popped, but to no avail. Nobody else really in the area to collapse on this.
Yeah, we should see resets coming out so they can spend that gold that they just collected. As you mentioned, but caught backing!
2 flashes coming out, one to catch Snark and one to keep Snark safe. But able to burst through the Gallia before the ulti can come out. Still hitting the front line there. Ulti comes down, Fear goes off at a Drakkar. They're still hitting him. It's huge! Ulti could be game-changing. Manages to snag up Snark there with this E, and he's just going to be able to clean up Rat Poisoning, getting a quadra kill. Oh my goodness gracious.
I mean, I don't even know what to say there. Like, they thought they caught Snark on the vision, get his flash, but then they flashed after, and at that point, you have 2 frontliners up against the rest of the team for Alberts, and great job punishing them, and a great job to just, dodging out against Drakkar, not going down to him as Vitus, punishing him with the fear from Urgot, but Omar had teleport, chose not to use it, and so it ended up being a 5v4 that they were ultimately able to clean up with that quadra kill. I'm not sure if Omar maybe needed to TP in there, if your team is just gonna stake their lives essentially on a fight right there.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the one to say it. Mid did have PP. If this is a ranked game, I'm pinging it. I'm sorry. I think if Omar was there, we could have stayed way healthier, and even if it was still, coming out of the back half of the fight where our entire team's low and then Sivir comes in to clean up, Omar can provide a huge appeal in space with the ulti and with the ground. I feel like he could have done a lot of work.
Sivir cannot go in like that if Omar's there. Literally just throwing down the miasma, the W on the ground, and having the threateningness of the ultimate would have made Sivir have to play that way safer. But I do kind of get where Omar's coming from. You did not expect that fight to break out. Your AD carry was backing and frankly took a greedy back, and that turned into the big fight. I'm sure he's saying, "Hey guys, I have Rylai's on base. Like let me push this turret in. Let me farm. I got Rylai's on base." It's a tough spot, but yeah, I do think ultimately, as you said, when the 5v5 is looking like it's going to break out, probably do just want to commit that teleport.
Yeah, I do definitely want to say we might be back in the middle of a pause. A lot of pauses going on. I think Albert's having some technical issues there. I do want to shout out well played in the fight to Vitus. Obviously, insane movement there. Just able to shred through the front line, dodges a ton of skill shots. Well played to Rat, obviously, for cleaning up in the back half, doing a lot there. And I think really well played to Paul M as well. Found a great E on Avitas that pretty much turned the tide of the rest of that fight and allowed the Sivir to get going.
Yeah, did hit a massive stun on Avitas. Good call out.
Another thing I wanted to mention, though, with all these towers down and all this pressure in the jungle, I mean, look at these wards. I feel like Albert has not been able to play in a while. This Kiana has just been inside the walls of the jungle, just robbing everything. She is in the bank vault right now, and there's no security cameras.
I'm going to put it. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see this next fight. Drakar's flash is down. When that comes back up, it creates a lot more playmaking opportunity for the Kiana. But if he can find a big ultimate onto the Cassiopeia, onto
Albert's
Snark,
getting caught out. Good lockdown coming down from Omar there, able to save his jungler.
right? I mean, Albert is, 2 items. Kiana's on 3, but you survived that first combo, and Kiana's a combo champion. She bursts you out with one combo. Yes, she has kind of reset her abilities, but if you survive her initial burst, which is hard to do, albeit, but if you survive that initial burst, she's kind of sitting there awkwardly, and Ludier is pretty comfortable at that point.
Yeah, ooh. Great find from Vetus here, getting some great damage down on the Taric. Has a decent ability to vamp, but with no camps up or no waves nearby, it's a little harder for him to vamp.
Yeah, both AD carries on 3 items here. This is a pretty massive upcoming fight for this dragon. Neither side is at soul point yet. 2 dragons to 1, so either team could feel comfortable giving this. But if one team's able to get a wipe here, you could potentially turn it into a Baron.
Yeah, I did want to mention here, flashes. Vetus no flash. Rat also no flash, but critically Kiana and Galio both have flash. Vetus does have the cleanse to try to do something.
Watch Drakkar here on the flank. They do not see him here.
We don't see they got rid of the ward. He just finds 3 and it's a nuke.
Vetus is up, but what can he do?
Taric ulti comes down.
Tericle's massive.
Save Drakkar. Able to pick up the Kiana in the back half of the fight. They're kind of going huge still. Unable to pick up more than that. They got the 2. That was a lot more than I thought they were going through, but the ward expired or moved as soon as Drakkar started sneaking around the corner, and Drakkar just finds 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's just massive by Drakkar. I mean, frankly, as you just said, it still went better for Alberts than you thought it would have at that point, and I think that just goes to show they needed that kind of a flank play. Drakkar needed to find some massive angle onto 3 and blow somebody up to start the fight off, because, when the Cassiopeia and when the Yunara get to hit, it's pretty favorable at this point for their comp. I mean, Drakar's just made big play after big play this season, and that's just another one to add to the highlight reel, but just an insane flank, finds the flash, finds the ultimate, the Jan is blown up instantly, and just really great start to the fight for his team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, maybe we shouldn't have let him have the character, It's just this Kiana has been so potent, has found so many angles, has found every single gank that she's wanted, every single camp she's wanted. It's just kind of all been given to her on a silver platter. Jeremy potentially caught out here. Tether comes down on the Maokai. Stun misses. Able to pop the Shirelius. Might be able to get out, but the cooldowns are long and short enough for the Maokai. Flashes forward. Ooh, great flash.
Yeah.
That could be Baron off of that. It's just the support going down, but they can overtake the vision here, and then it's going to be a little harder to walk in. Yeah, can I make a
You look at the damage, though, onto the Kiana just from Udyr just standing near you, basically. But I do think they are comfortable enough to start the Baron here, are going to take it very, very swiftly. Albert does have Flash, but saw the vision, made Flash in, but it's just so hard.
Yeah,
it's just already gone.
This is probably their ninth symphony here, Alberts. I'm not really sure how they can surmount this gold lead, this Baron push as well.
Okay, well, so frankly though, what you do look at is, Snark did not have Flash last time. Both the Cassiopeia and the Yunara have Flash available. The Kiana does not. Perhaps that's their angle to try to win
Chao
this fight.
getting a little overzealous here. The ulti went wide. Ulti from the Kiana only landing on a 1. Good TBS coming down from Vetus.
Oh, Rat's fighting the AD carry on the side.
Both flashes expended for the 80 carries here, and I think it's going to be a handshake walk out potentially.
Whoa, that was kind of an insane 1v1 on the side of that fight between the 280 carry players.
Yeah, Rat.
That Tericol coming
Rat
down was
able
massive.
To keep up with damage considering the Tabi and the Yunara.
Yeah, I think the Tericol was pretty huge to making sure that Rat was not able to actually get traded out there.
Maybe. Oh, and the extra damage from the Taric, or the extra armor from the Taric tether there as well.
Yeah, but now you do have no flash on Snark. Very, very vulnerable during the next play now.
Yeah, there was a flash expended from Rat as well, so at least he traded the flash for the flash there. But, yeah, you definitely
Rat's just not under the same pressure this game. Like, there's not really dive angles on the side of Albert, so I feel like, Rat not having his flash not quite as detrimental. If they're going to lose the fight, it's going to be because the front line got taken out first, whereas the way Albert loses the fight, it's because the back line got taken out first.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And with how quintessential Vetus has been in every single one of these fights, if he's not there, or even not DPSing to his fullest ability, I don't really see a way where they can win any team fight. Getting a little risky here.
You don't see him here.
Good smite. Solo ulti is the food here, but it's just so much coming
Oh,
down on
Sparks
him. Vetus gets
rooted.
caught. Great dodge right there, but I think it's just
Yeah, Jakar has flash. That should most likely be the game. I mean, you have 3 up. Cassiopeia does have everything, has the Zonya's arm guard available, but would have to go massive here to hold the game.
I mean, Omar is definitely the man to do it, but just gets locked up and then instantly blown up. Jeremy's ulti coming down to try to save him, but it's just not enough. Tarek ulti coming down, and I don't think there's anything they can do. Nexus Tower 1 falls. Tower 2 right next to it, and the Nexus is going to be soon. Wow.
It's game 1 to the side of QC. My thoughts as we digest and kind of break down this initial game. I still think what Alberts had as far as a draft was really good for themselves. I just think they got behind. Like you had almost 3K gold lead at 10 minutes. Frankly, the Urgot got way too far behind. And then I think what stands out to me as well is when they went for the Grubs play and Vitus dies bot lane. Like Vitus ended up having a great game. Don't get me wrong, but like it's just those when you're playing against a team as good as QC, you cannot make those small mistakes because you're gonna make a few because they're so good. They're gonna make you make some, and they just add up. They add up, and then you end up with a 3K gold lead at 10 minutes, and it's just hard to come back from that. Had some good angles, took some good fights. I think you saw the theory behind their comp, the theory of how that could work, but ultimately, QC just played an insanely good game. Do you have any thoughts on who the MVP should be for that game 1? I know we don't track them, but I still like to give them in the playoffs.
Oh, we don't track them in the playoffs, so I never do that. I guess yeah, the awards already go off. Never mind. I guess I would not matter too much. I agree. I think I'm gonna go out there and say it. I think Albert's draft was way better. I think QC was completely sitting, but I think just some great hands from Drakkar, great hands from Chow as well. As hands as a Maokai can be. Great trading
Yeah.
from uh, Kage as well on the Galio, like the highlight there. Um, yeah, I think Vetus definitely did an insane amount. Definitely put them on the map to say, but there just wasn't enough follow up from the rest of the team there. Not to say they played poorly, but it's just they were too behind, too late for anything to matter. I think doing the Teddy style of comp, let's pick me this hyper carry to carry and build my my pillow fort around me works for Vetus as well. Vetus is a really great player and showed us how great of a player they were there. But I think it's just rough when you're so far behind like that. As for MVP, I'm gonna hit you with a bit of a dark horse. I'd say I was gonna say Chow.
I was thinking it would be Chow or Jakar, so I think both those players deserve shout outs. I could see it being Chow. Thought, blind picked the Malachi. We blind picked it, by the way, and absolutely dominated that lane. Set up Jakar perfectly. I do think Drakar's initial gank was really intelligent, went behind the wall to dodge out the vision, and then found that initial gank. I think Jakar's, flash ultimate at that river fight is really what kind of sealed the game for them ultimately. But both those players just played outstanding. And, with how that game went, if I'm Chow, I'm saying just blind pick me Malachi again. This guy can't punish it. And if you're looking for what Alberts needs to improve on to have a better chance in this game, I think Brian just has to play better. I think you have to have a more stable top lane. You don't have to beat the Malachi, but you got to at least, I don't know. Anytime your car went up there, it was just plus 300 essentially, and you cannot give a player of that level, that much acceleration, because I don't think Cassiopeia really got to play that game out fairly, just because the game just got snowballed a little too fast and wasn't able to be involved in those plays, in part because they didn't choose TP to the one fight. But I think if the game could be a little bit more stable as you're getting into the mid game, we could have seen that comp kind of come online and accelerate more.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. It's really hard to play the game when Kiana's just spoon fed 4 kills, some plates, some extra CS from the waves. And when there's not a lot of threat in the side lane because the Urgot is so down there. Um, I agree. Cassiopeia was not really given a fair shot to play there. Cassiopeia is really not the best champion at defending these invades. At least not until she gets her items. So with the Kiana being so accelerated and able to go for even more ballsy invades than she normally should be able to, I think it's just hard for the Cassiopeia to get online. I'm gonna say Chow. I'm gonna put my cinema
I'll go
hands
with
up
you.
and say
Let's
that.
do it. I
Okay.
agree. That would be my MVP then.
Yeah.
As we get ready for game two, Albert's lost. What that does is it gives them side selection choosing game two. They've opted to remain on the red side. Um, do you agree with that decision, or at least not agree, but do you like that decision by them? And what would you like to see them change? We've said we were pretty happy with their drafts. Do you think it was a draft? Anything that draft could improve on, or do you think it really is just we got to play better in the game?
I mean, honestly, it looked really good. It looked really good. Maybe the Urgot could be swapped out for something a bit more competent. Um, I'm again not I got not too familiar with Brian's champ pool. Um, Anything scaling is great into the Maokai. Maokai is good at alley ooping with the jungler. Something like a Mord can do really well into it because you can just activate the 1v1 mode at Lowy as well. Because
I think that,
Maokai is
yeah.
pretty much only playing to set up his jungler in the top lane. So if you can play something that can threaten a 2v1 like a Darius, Lowy, etc., or easily escape, maybe like an Olaf, something like that, I think then you're in a little bit more better of a shape. But I don't think Urgot's the worst. Outside of that in the draft, there's not much I could change. It's a really good Cassio game, really good Yunara game, really good Udyr game as well. I think it was just a little bit too poorly played, a little too little too late.
Yeah, I do think on red side, perhaps you consider, dropping the Nautilus ban and maybe, replacing that with something like the Kiana ban. But I don't know. To me, it's not like the Kiana was like the issue. Like Drakkar played great. Like he's gonna play great on any champion you give him. Any carry champion that got spoon fed 4 kills would have had the ability to impact that game to that level, in my opinion. Perhaps you think it's good to get rid of the Kiana because it's kind of the flex potential. It can go 2 roles. They have 2 players that can pilot it to an extremely high level. So maybe you get rid of that, and perhaps their draft starts to look a little more predictable in a sense, maybe. But yeah, as you said, I do think ultimately it is just kind of come down to the plays in the games themselves. I thought they had a great plan to deal with the Kiana. It just was not really able to happen.
Yeah, I agree there as well. Um, I think Drakkar is gonna pick a strong carry and get strong no matter what. I think that's a bit of an inevitability, or at least very very much be even in the game, even if his team is losing around him. I think he's always gonna be a strong pick. I just think that Kiana is just really strong. I think that champion's really strong. Her items are super duper cheap. We saw her get online super duper quickly. Even if she was fed, I think it's just 2,700 for um, for Profane, 2,700 for Axiom, 2,500 for Serpent's Fang. Like these are support items, man. I'm in a bargain bin. Um, and I think too, the second half, it's Kiana's just such a good team fighter. Unlike other assassins, her ulti is huge CC knockback, has more CC in her kit as well. Tons of survivability with the grass form. I think that she's just too strong of a team fighter to be letting over, especially with such comfort.
Yeah, I mean that you do bring out a good point there. Other assassins do not have that same team fight capability, and what did we see in that one dragon fight? I mean, Jakar basically solo won that fight with a massive flank into a flash ultimate. And as good. I'm not saying you leave the Zed up, but as good as the Zed is, he's killing one person.
I think we
So
dropped the
I do
Kha'Zix
think
ban. Well, I think we dropped the Nautilus ban, but I
Knowledge.
think
I just don't know who the knowledge span's really for. Like, unless they were just really concerned about that pick, but I think you just dropped that one.
yeah, maybe they're just worried about like it is a counter pick into the Janna. I know Janna has some counter play into it, but
They're keeping the Kazakhs though. Oh, we are in ban phase now,
oh,
and
we
they're
are in ban
rapid
phase. Oh
firing
my
it.
goodness gracious, bad
Yeah,
streamer,
so
bad streamer.
same bans so far. Well, no, actually not the same band so far. They've wait, did they ban Blitzcrank last game? I don't
They
really
banned
remember.
it second round, so Blitzcrank being swapped out for the Nautilus here. I
That's
am
interesting
a
to me. Are we
little
that concerned about a
afraid.
Blitzcrank early first three with what we just saw happen last game? I don't know. I'm curious to see if we're just gonna see another first pick Galio, but Janna getting banned away actually.
Okay,
Thought
thank
Jeremy had a
goodness.
great game on it.
They could
The
see
Kha'Zix
Kiana.
is open, but I don't expect Ricard to just take Kha'Zix unless it ends up being a good spot for it. So I do think that ban or dropping that ban can make sense. We are just gonna get a first pick Silas, which I mean it's another flex pick. It can easily go mid, easily go jungle, and it can go top depending on matchup. So,
Another flex
um,
pick here, but it's also a champion that gets devoured by
ooh,
Cassiopeia, but it doesn't even matter. You just pick Syndra. Uh,
Syndra. I think Silas can go into Syndra. I personally think Silas can beat Syndra. It's a skill matchup in my opinion. Um, But I also think playing the Silas in the jungle and picking a more traditional Syndra counter could end up being a very hard mid jungle duo for the Syndra to navigate. So we'll see what they end up doing with it.
yeah, I'm not too sure on Paul M's mid pool. Again, aside from more supportive picks, I think he plays a little Annie. Sona being locked in from the side of Albert's Inferno. I like Sona. I think Sona's really good. A lot of the haters will say, "Ooh, that's scary." I'm gonna shut
Yeah,
up and let the draft
yeah.
talk for a second.
If they go Yasuo, then it probably is just going to be Rat going mid. Really, really proficient on this champion. And you do like to pair an AD champion mid if you are going to play the Silas jungle, and that would be a really good pairing. If they lock that in, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, there's also nothing stopping him from going bot as well. Could bring
Yeah,
out the
Yasuo.
Nautilus, the dastardly Nautilus that we banned away the first game for the
Yasuo
backups in the
Nautilus
bot lane.
bot lane would be so insanely hype. I would just love that, but I do expect him to take it mid. I think Yasuo actually is a pretty good matchup into Syndra. Um, if the Syndra spaces exceptionally well, it's very playable, but Yasuo has permanent push, permanent priority in the early game, and can make it really hard for Syndra to play.
Yeah, gonna be a Braum coming
Um,
in here. That is a big knockoff for the Yasuo to follow up on. Not the most reliable compared to something like a Diana, a Malphite, Nautilus, etc. But still pretty good
yeah,
at ultimate to play off
yeah,
of if they do choose to go for the Yasuo bot. But considering what you said about the Syndra matchup there, I don't think it will be.
You may want to see a Malphite ban from the side of Inferno. I know that Shao has played that before this season, is good at the pick. Um, I would not want to give them a Malphite Yasuo angle when you have immobile carries like Syndra, and frankly, I consider Sona to be a carry, like an immobile carry like Sona. Um, so I would like to see a Malphite ban here.
Yeah, we definitely need some peel coming out from the side of Alberts, but Lilia, I was gonna mention this earlier. Udyr was kind of like a sort of a lower down the list pick for Albert. You're definitely used to the Lilia and the Skarner mostly. Um, she's not terrible here. Has a lot of outplay potential to the Yasuo and the Silas, but I feel like there's not much peel coming out for such a excuse me soft like backline here. I feel like if you get on
Yeah,
top of the
you've
Cinder and the Sona, it's just cracking skulls.
Yeah, you've basically drafted very little crowd control when you're going up against a champion like Yasuo that is so mobile. I think that's pretty hard. Like you're putting a lot of pressure on Brian to have that role fulfilled. But it's not like Vitus is going to pick some character with a lot of crowd control most likely. So I could see it really easy for Jakar to kind of have his way, or excuse me, really Jakar on the Silas too, but especially the Yasuo to really have his way this game. And we are seeing Malphite was left open. There is a lot of AP on the other side, so it's not like it's a dream Malphite angle, but I mean, just you want knockups for Rat. Like Rat's going to carry you if you give him the angle with the knockups. Sivir, steal that away. Good pick. Has spell shield to be able to dodge out some of the engage.
I agree.
Um,
Definitely a pretty strong pick, and definitely good at an eye as well. I think the Unara fills the same role, but I think taking the Sipper here for the spell shield is pretty good.
that's going to be Misfortune locked in, and if that's the case, that's almost certainly going to be Kage going bot lane this game and playing the Misfortune with Paul M on the Braum, and then they'll most likely, I assume, then run just the mid jungle of Jakar Rat with the Yasuo, and Rat has a very very good Yasuo.
Yeah, I expect a big
Last
knockup
pick,
coming up from top side here. Could be the Malphite.
just go
Blind is a
Malachi
little
again.
silly.
Like it has a knockup. It's not Malphite level knockup, but it has a knockup. It was not punishable last game,
Yeah, it's super long
and it
range
would just
engage
be
as
good front
well.
line. Yeah, there's really no one that can tank a Malphite or excuse me, a Maokai ultimate right now outside of a Sivir spell shield. And if Sivir's blowing that, then gotta get dove on otherwise. So I would not hate just seeing Maokai locked in here.
Exactly. Gragas instead.
Gragas. That's a little
Ay,
fun. That's a
ay,
little more
ay.
fun. I like that. Also a really hard champion to punish when you blind pick at top lane, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. You can scale pretty well into it with Mo champions, but phase rush and his damage and his cooldowns and his everything and his bullshit, it's just really hard to deal with. I am a lot less.
What do you even
Um,
take here if you're Brian? I don't think you can go like Mordekaiser because you have too much AP.
Looks like it's going to be a Garen lock in here. I am not a fan. This matchup is not good. Gragas just
I
runs
think
away from you with free
Gragas can kind
scales.
of just permanently kind of slow you, and if he takes phase rush, always just run away. I don't know. We'll see. I've seen a lot of fuckery from Garens over the years, though, so never gonna count that champ out.
I'm tugging at my collar right now. Who could ever do that? Yeah, I am a lot less faithful in Albert's Inferno this game. Not to sell any other players short, but this draft is just not exactly what I'm screaming. There is realistically
I'll be
just
right
no
back.
appeal at all from this super heavy dive, super dangerous Gragas Yasuo combo. I feel like there's nothing we can do about that. No, shoot, sorry. Game one winners was QC. I forgot to remake the assets. Apologies there. I'm a bad streamer. I mean, I'm trying to find the world where QC loses. And it's like Sivir has to go at the most perfect spell shield in the world against the Gragas ulti. Yasuo flies in and she somehow one shots him with Garen on the side. They get the Demacia Justice and blow him up. And then she just gets to free hit the rest of the team. It's a little easy for Sivir to free hit outside of the wind wall, but again, it's an uphill battle. I feel like they just toss the Gragas ulti in there, take their pick, and then just take control of the objective, whatever objective they are contesting.
Sorry, I had to step away there for a minute, but I'm back.
No worries, I missed you. I'm twiddling my thumbs.
Figured you would. My initial thoughts after seeing these drafts, I thought last game Alberts had a really good draft. Frankly, I do not like their draft against the QC draft this time, and I'm pretty nervous for them. It's not really hardly any crowd control to put on to Rad or to put on to Jakar, and I just feel like those players are going to run rampant. And as I said, I think the Syndrome matchup is playable into Yasuo, but it's definitely not like a great one. The Wind Wall denies so much damage with the ultimate if he uses it that way. I mean, basically from level 1 can pressure you, make it very difficult for you to walk up to the wave, and frankly can set you up to get dove pretty easily too.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly
Silas
agree.
actually has Silas's the E2 counts as a knockup, so very, very vulnerable game for Omar here. Going to be a lot of pressure on him.
Yep, I wholeheartedly agree there. I think Yasuo can just take E level one, pressure the hell out of the Syndra. She can space really well, and play outside of the waves range as best as she can. But Yasuo is just such an impressive laner. I think that character is so strong. I think the only thing that's gatekeeping him from being nerfed is just the barrier to entry. Really, I think it's a pretty uphill battle. Oh, hold on. Is Teddy just spectating? I don't think they're talking about Teddy needing to restart his PC. Did they swap him in without me noticing? Oh my gosh, I think they did.
Uh, but they put Kai in. No, the Supernatural is Kai.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, bad streamer. What the fuck? Sorry.
Wait, so who did they swap? Oh, they swapped out Jeremy for Kai.
Yeah, it's watch out Jeremy for Kai and Vetus for Teddy himself. Oh my god. Okay, Mason, don't everybody. Oh my god, guys, we
Vetus
have
is
a
Snark is
draft
still
coming up.
Vetus
Oh my
though,
god,
right?
it's Teddy and Kai coming in.
Oh, it is. Okay, okay. So Snark's just in the lobby though. Just
guys, guys, I ruined it. Guru,
hey,
you forgive
Teddy
me,
fans,
right?
rise the fuck up.
You're right. You're right. Let's
That's
focus on
your
the important here. Teddy.
let me say. That's your first team 80 carry coming in, ready to put on a performance.
Yeah, and the
Not the Vetus
creator
played
and
bad like
captain.
last game, but yeah.
creator and captain of
Let's
Albert's
go.
Inferno.
I take back what I said about draft. I take back what I said about analysis. Teddy is in. Teddy wins. The end. Let's get it.
I mean, it rhymes, so it has to make sense. Plus, it's Teddy coming in, you know, creator and captain of Albert's Inferno. I think that has to be a bit of a morale boost. They have their guy coming in. We did just do the entire draft, not knowing that it was Kai and uh, Teddy
Frankly, I
coming in.
don't think it changes too much. They have very similar champion pools.
Yeah, I do agree. Kai's shampoo is a little bit different from Jeremy, but yeah. The Lion does not regen assets, all right? Anyways, with Teddy coming into the mix, Teddy definitely stays a lot more glued to his support. We saw in that game Jeremy was roaming a lot, coming to the grub fight, doing this and that. I think in this
Yeah.
game, I think it's going to be Teddy and Kai holding hands, skipping through the fields. I think that Teddy is never going to be alone, and I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pressure on Teddy here, though. I do think Sivir is pretty hard to pilot into this comp. Like, Spell Shield has a lot of value against Gragas, against Silas, against Yasuo. But, like, you can dodge one thing. It'll get a lot of value one time, but if they're all there, you can't just press it again and again and again and again. So I could see it, still being very challenging for him to play because it's pretty low range AD carry into Silas, into Yasuo, into Gragas. Could be
Yeah,
difficult.
I do agree. I think you're selling it a little bit short. I think that if the Sivir can't block out, my dog shit barking right outside my window. That's fun. If the Sivir can block out that initial Gragas ulti Yasuo ulti combo, that initial combo on top of him, I think there's hope. I think Teddy, if he has the movement down, if he has the lead that he can get in this lane, um, I think there's hope. I certainly think that he can, do a lot of these this melee oriented comp. I think he can do a lot. I really think he can.
Yeah, and I will say too, we were chats also saying it, like a lot of question marks when the Garen got locked in. I don't think Garen's like your ideal pick into Gragas, but if Brian's able to have a better game and can actually, somehow end up being pretty strong, what does Garen do? It kind of just kills Yasuo. So perhaps, maybe that could be a tool that you could use to try to punish the Yasuo, punish the Silas, later in the game. But, just based on last game's performance, we're going to have to see a much better showing from Brian here if that's going to come to fruition.
Yeah, I definitely hope we do get one. In this lane, it's not like a lane that Garen can really practically punish the Gragas in. He's not going to be able to chunk him out or get kills. Just too much safety on the Gragas there. But what he can do is just kind of take over the tempo of the map in this matchup. Can push waves faster than the Gragas can, and with not using mana because he's a silly little guy. Can go for the
Could he
proxies, get this
potentially look to
prio
proxy?
early.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, can just basically look to lane lock this Gragas, beat early to objectives, beat early to items and base. Just play the fundamentals really. A certain Dutch man once said that, and I certainly hope that Brian can. I think Brian definitely has the capability to do that. The issue with you saying like he's there to counter the Yasuo, yeah, he can drop an ulti in the team fight. Garen Yasuo is a very, very skill based matchup. After years of playing the hardest character in the game, Garen, I come to grasp this. Um, uh, it's just really easy for the Yasuo to outplay you. It's really easy for you to outplay the Yasuo. You poke off his shield, you dodge the Qs because you can, because you're goaded. Um,
Yeah.
and then you can drop your combo on him, but it's really easy for him to just stack up, just completely nuke you. If you're full crit and it's late game, it's really easy for you to kill him. But outside of that, it's always just
Yes. Am I overestimating the value of the silence, perhaps? Then, because I could see that being pretty difficult.
his
For the
autos
Yasuo to
with
deal with.
tempo do a lot.
Gotcha.
Plus, if it's ever
What
in a
What would
minion
your
wave,
thought
it's
about?
super hard to kite or catch him. He can just kite you out. Kite out your
Yeah.
Qs, movement speed, hit you with the
Yeah.
Q, the tornado, etc.
Yeah, and Rad is extremely good at Yasuo. I think it's one of his best champions. Perhaps his best. I mean, everybody's gonna say the Kiana, but the things I've seen him do on the Yasuo have been really, really impressive too. So Really fun. Um, I do have one question for you. When are we going to see more Ivern top lane?
Oh, I played a game today in the enemy support DC before I could do my maneuver. My entire
Uh,
team my team went Pike, Vayne, J4, and Akshan, and I was like, well, shit, I gotta go AD now. And then I typed that in all chat, and they were like, no, no, please. They begged me not to, and I went Ivern. Enemy top
victory.
laner went Malphite, and there's 2 kills in that game. One on the support who DC'd, and another on another laner. I won't say.
Wonderful. Well, as we're kind of sitting here waiting for, I guess, Teddy's client to start working.
I do see
Um,
some monkey type results coming in. Apparently, Vetus has a 122 word per minute, which is pretty insane. We're gonna have to definitely add that to the stats page.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. No wonder they were gliding. Shoot, what do we do in the meantime? They may have to swap Vetus back in, and we might have to redo draft there. At least they have a sub available.
So I will say, I guess we can kind of talk about the further effects of the playoffs here. If QC wins this series, that guarantees that Albert's Inferno will play Metabusters in the next round, and that Rift Sharks in the lower bracket would then play the loser of the other match, the New York Nutbusters versus Big Bananas. Whereas on the other hand, if Alberts is able to come back in the series and they win, then we would not know yet who those second round matchups are going to be, because it would depend on who wins or loses the second series. But as I said, if Alberts does fall here, we would have a guaranteed matchup in that lower bracket round versus the Nutbusters. So something to think
Yeah,
about.
so if Albert's Inferno loses, it's going to be MTV versus Inferno, and then obviously going to be Rift Sharks versus Big Bananas there. Um, uh, yeah, I think if I'm Rift Sharks, maybe I don't want QC to lose here. Maybe I want QC to stay in the upper bracket for at least a little longer.
Uh, hmm,
Oh, I forgot. I kind of
maybe.
forgot you're on the team. Gru, when are you coming
It
to
could
my team?
happen. You might. Maybe you want that. Who knows? But yeah, frankly, I mean it when I say that I think all the teams in the playoffs are scary and all of them are super competitive. I really think any team in the playoffs could take it. If you get hot at the right time, you start playing well, um, anybody could do it. So
Yeah, I
a lot of
certainly
fun
agree.
matches upcoming.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think every team really has their potency. I think obviously, I won't talk about myself because I think everybody knows that my team is the best, despite we got all the MVP awards. Uh, I think BB obviously with this super huge, kind of just like a really deep champ pool, top lane, jungle, mid lane, is hard to deal with there. QC obviously it's a bit of a hands gap. I'm gonna say it now. Jakar and Rad are just really damn good players with these really damn, powerfully mechanical champions. Um, Alberts obviously you have Teddy as the core. That's always scary to deal with. Fetus as well has been proving to be an incredible substitute for Teddy, um, fulfilling somewhat the same role, but I think it's still like establishing himself as a really good player. Metabusters, obviously Fujer. I'm scared of that guy. I feel like he's gonna beat me up. Um, and with the role swap, Snow and Gnome trading roles there, I think it's pretty dangerous as well. Snow has looked really good, obviously getting the second place MVP. Um, and then for Rift Sharks, I mean, it's a hashtag carrot sweep as somebody as an anonymous
Hashtag carrot sweet, baby. Hell
as an
yeah, I
anonymous
agree.
submitter to Victor based put.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
So I do think
Um,
that it's going to be a pretty tough contention to see who gets second place compared to VB. Or sorry, no, fuck, no, I'm not
no,
on that team
no.
anymore.
Oh,
No,
he
no,
said,
no, I'm
clip
not on
it,
that team
guy,
anymore.
clip
I
it,
messed up.
clip it. Freudian
Ah,
slip, clip
man,
it.
I'm not on that one anymore. Oh man. Ah.
Oh, that's great. We forgive you.
Guys, I meant New York Nutbusters is gonna be first place. I forgot what team I was on. Like, man, you
Big
can't
Bananas
play
does
me
sound
when
like a That's not like a team name you would like. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, I did make the team, so
There you go.
yeah. And it is four of the same players in the team now. So you know what?
All right, one of these days we may end up in the game.
Yeah, Teddy is apparently
As
still
we
dealing
are
with intense ride errors.
All right, as we are sitting here, I'm gonna do an impromptu podcast with you, baked or based.
Do
Here's
we
the
have
take.
the the results pulled up? Or
I'm just gonna give you a take off the top of my dome.
okay.
Baked or based, BB got robbed by not having a single player get first team.
No. I think hold on, I gotta relook at the list again. Not to start chirping at anybody. I think Eden and oh god, who's in their bot lane again? Eden and
Will.
Will, and then sometimes Archive. Obviously, it's hard to get first team when you're playing like a sort of like a or 6 man roster with Will and Archive there. Eden has looked great. Um, they're performing fantastically, even when just pretty much just blinding enchanters only, which is really easy to get countered by, and even in those countered lanes, they're looking great. Um, Taxi hit or miss. Mason, I need to hold on. I need to listen to my media training here. Um,
Let's hear it.
I'm washed. I'm sorry. If you're playing tanks counterpick into Mike both times, then you've lost all your aura and all your credibility. I'm sorry. Um, Nishon, I think, has looked pretty good. Did get solo killed by the Iron twice, so I won't mention that though. Uh, I think definitely is the most in contention for first team. I'll bite my tongue on my opinions on the results there. I don't want to get into it.
Okay, I do have a baked or based. Blake got robbed by not getting either first or second.
I don't vote for myself ever, and I know Mike and Alana also didn't vote. So I
I'll say
think if they
based on
did,
that one.
I
I'll
think I
say
think I think if they
based.
did, it would have been back in me. But I just never vote for myself.
Well, I voted for you, King. I'll say it.
Aww. I voted for you, King.
All right,
Although I
let's
do
not get
think Fujer
sentimental.
got fucking robbed out of the best friend category. What's it called?
Best teammate?
Yeah, best teammate. Not to say that you don't deserve it, but I did vote
You
Fujer,
hate me.
and then you
I mean,
second.
Fusier's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am very appreciative that everybody voted for me on that one. Frankly, that one feels the best to win.
Here you go. Baked or based. Who do you think deserved to be on that standing? Any role, any award that did not get
Like, who got robbed the
yeah,
hardest?
who got robbed the hardest?
I really think it's you, and I'm not even just saying that because you're here right now. I really think it's
I'm
you
getting
who got robbed
glazed.
the
What did I
hardest.
do?
No,
I
I
don't know.
really do.
I play two champions. It's Smolder and Mord apparently.
I'm saying that's my opinion. You asked for it. I think it's you, but
Yeah. Um, who do I think got robbed the most? Alex. Dude, that guy. It's so funny because we were doing a little bit like a retrospective dive. Um, in season 5, Taxi had 7 MVPs. Mike had 5. I think Matt and I had 3. Alex had 1. And I think that's so funny. Out of the 18 games we won, Alex got 1 MVP, and that makes me
really,
laugh.
I do think if I have to point at any other role on there, I don't necessarily. I'm not gonna say this is a robbery because I think that Lithy was very deserving of Most Improved Player, but I just think that that could have went to anyone on that list, and I think they all played exceptionally well and all improved a ton.
I
And that's an
agree.
interesting one because it's the one award that not everyone votes for, but I think all those players could have and essentially deserve to win that one. A lot of great players there too.
Yeah, I agree. I also was gonna say I voted for my number 180 carry. Sorry, number 280 carry. I put Alex first, obviously. Um, my number 2 was actually Honan.
Own it. Okay.
I thought Honan
Honan
played
did play well.
fantastically
Yeah.
every single 80 carry game.
I love Honan. Was on was on his team when we won back in season 7. Really great player, and I thought had a really great season. I mean, unfortunately, they were not able to get the success that they were hoping for, but had quite a few good games, and I thought he paired really well with Sam S.
Exactly.
And if they continue that lane into next season, I don't know what their plans are, but I'd love to see them get even more synergy together because I think Honan just has really strong games when he's really comfortable with his team, and he has really unique picks as well. Like he'll play like Zerath bot, and if his support or other teammates can get more comfortable with that, then maybe there's still angles there. But yeah, Honan, great shout out.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think their bot lane was fantastic. We are in lobby now, ladies and gentlemen. We just have a little bit of a spectator delay before we can actually get into the real match. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Teddy is on the hotspot Wi-Fi. I've come to learn. So, I mean, if he can win a scrim season from China, I think it works.
Hey, my goat Arnold won a scrim season from New Zealand,
This
so
is true.
China's not as far as which one's further?
Uh,
Geography moment.
I think it is China. I don't know. I gotta get my measuring tape out. Gnome has a
Noam
Victor
asked
base.
for a
Mages
Victor
take more
base
skill
take.
than
Yep.
ADC because all their damage is based off skill shot. Gnome, have you ever played a single game of? Hold on, let me think of like a really stupid, stinky, smelly mage that I hate.
I'm gonna say that take is baked.
Yeah, it's baked.
But I do think mages do. I don't think mages take. I don't know. It depends on the mage, but I think overall it's a baked take to say that mages are definitely easier to play in the bot lane role than AD carries, in my opinion. Um,
The more
kind of
buttons
just
you
get a
have to
free
press within
lane.
a 12-second span, the harder the mage is. So Syndra really easy because you press 3 buttons and they die.
Yeah. I mean, there's some players that literally just go bot lane and pick Ziggs 3 games in a row and feel really
Okay,
skillful with
okay,
themselves.
come
So,
on,
like
man.
baked.
Guys, come on, man. Alex was busy on a date with the Rizzler. All right, I gotta fill in sometimes.
We're having a little fun filling the air. Um, I do think Noam has had a great season too, though. I honestly think Noam could have been arguably one of the top 2 performers this season.
I agree. I
When you look
agree.
at stats and you look at performance and done it on a wide range of champions. I always knew I expected him to perform well in the majors, but has had really good games on the traditional 80 carries as well. So I
Corky
want to shout that
especially.
out. Yeah, the Corky, wow, yeah, the way that he and Fuzier have both kind of turned that into just an extremely oppressive flex pick for their team has been really impressive.
Yeah. Now that we're over with the gnome glazing section, we will now talk about all the things we hate about gnome. Let me open up my book real quick. Step one, or hate number one: pick the Mumu like 18 times. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, we are loading in the game in just a few seconds here. Thank you all for your patience. So again, to recap, Teddy and Kai swapped in. Teddy on the hotspot Wi-Fi, on the Sivir. Do you trust him?
I do. I do trust Teddy to play well this game, but I don't care if it was Vitus and I don't care if it was Teddy in on the Sivir. I think the comp for QC is just everything you could want and more for them. Um, Very comfortable picks for everyone. The only person I've not seen play their champion personally is I've not seen Shao play Gragas, but I've seen everybody else play their champ, and they're all really good at him, and I don't have any doubt that Shao will do well.
Yeah, I do think a lot more comfort coming out from QC this time around. Kage loves the misfortune. Uh, Paul M loves the Braum. Rat, obviously a great Yasuo player, and I know Drakar's been playing a lot of the Silas as well. Um, Decent amount of comfort coming out from Alberts as well. Don't really know about the Garen. I know he's played it before, so probably a level of comfort there. But we have Albert's debatably best jungler in the Lilia, even if it is in a bad spot. And then what about Teddy's best AD carries? So you could probably say that about half the roster, really. Um, my question mark is the Syndra. First and foremost, has first strike. Wait a minute. Whoa. Hold on.
What the
That was not a mistake,
fuck?
was it? That is Shiver mid going into the Yasuo here. Teddy on the Sivir mid going into the Yasuo. Hold on a minute.
Okay, well, I was going to say, I do think, there is a lot of comfort on their side, too. I think Kai is an extremely good Sona player. Teddy's great at Sivir. I think Lilia might actually be Albert's best champion. And I think Omar is one of the many good Sivir players in this server. Now, I was going to say, I thought Omar, as you mentioned last game, really had trouble spacing against Regalio. And against Yasuo, it's even more important. But throw that out the window. We've got Syndra bot lane and we've got Sivir mid. I've never played the Sivir Yasuo matchup mid, so we'll see what happens. He'll just wave clear, I'm sure, but very interesting stuff.
I am going to highlight, first and foremost, we saw in the lane a moment ago, Yasuo did not start E. I think starting E on Yasuo is so strong because you can just go in there, trade, just take control of the wave, and then get your level 2 really easily. Second, there's no D shield on Yasuo here, so the poke is going to be pretty potent coming down from the Sivir. That Q does a lot of damage, and if he can't heal that back, it's going to be a little difficult to deal with. Sivir also has great wave clear as well, but it was going to be Yasuo. Oh, hang on, this does not look good for Teddy here. Popping the ghost to try to get out. Fancy Feet sidesteps it. Okay.
Woo. Yeah, and yeah, like what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Oh my god.
The worst part is he pinged 39 MS right there. The ping isn't bad.
Better ping than I have.
Teddy, space that like I would space it on Garen.
Alright guys, I don't know. I don't know about the roll.
I think we gotta get it, put it back in the bot lane.
No, if I'm Omar, I'm saying sorry, you created that problem, you're dealing with it.
Yeah. I mean, to be frank, this is a pretty impossible lane for Braum to deal with. Syndra's just gonna shove me away, and I'm gonna start crying on mic. I mean, Teddy also has the Cole start too. How greedy is that, man?
Oh, I think Cole start is disgustingly greedy.
Yeah, especially into a Yasuo who does so well in these ranged matchups. Although I do like to highlight. Brian doing pretty well. Not a CS lead, but doing a lot better in this game. Chunking out Chow really well. In the early game before he got ganked, he was doing really great. Ooh, big trade coming down the bot lane. Not enough damage to get through the Braum shield. So he's just barely missing, but this wave is just abysmal for Teddy here.
Yeah, I will say, pretty good shout out by a chatter. Had they put the Garen mid into Yasuo, maybe that would actually be your best matchup. But you do get Chow's flash there. Nice gank by Omar.
If Brian had E up, he could have flashed and killed there, but I like the reservation. That's how I play as well. And I do agree if they... I know Teddy plays a little bit of top. I know he's played Vayne top into me before. So I think if they put the Sivir up there, she does pretty well into the Gragas. And I think Garen, Yasuo, and lane goes a lot better if you're able to... hang on, getting aggressive in the top lane here. Chow was able to get the slow onto the Garen. W comes out a little late. Damage reduction is still there. Does the banana combo. Is able to get out.
Don't know if the flash had to come through there, but felt like it was necessary. And Chow's just playing these lanes out really well.
Okay, a bit better spacing and sidestepping there from Teddy now. The spell shield seems a little critical in the lane. I know the cooldown's fairly long, but Teddy looks like he's going to be using it pretty well. And knowing Teddy, I think he will use it pretty well, considering his Sivir mastery.
Yeah, I think just really disrespected the damage of the Yasuo at that level 1. Or
yeah, I agree.
For the first one. That is the strength of the D-Blade as well. You mentioned it didn't go D-Shield, but that D-Blade, extra damage makes a big difference.
Great trade coming out here from Brian. Gragas does have the E backup. Cooldown on that is pretty short, especially in the early game when he can get the resets on it. But this lane is definitely looking a lot more confident for Brian as well. I'm liking it a lot more.
What build would you like to see out of Garen here?
So I'm gonna leak. I've been playing a little bit more Garen lately because I am bad at the game and carried by my characters. I've seen the Yomu Shojin build with the Stridebreaker as the first item. I'm not a big fan of it. It just feels a little lackluster. I like the movement speed from Yomu's. It feels nice, but that's about it. I think just going for your Stridebreaker, getting a defensive item, and then just going full crit is still the best. And that's probably the build I would like to see here. I think full crit in general after Stride is just the best.
Like a Phantom Dancer IE kind of thing, or?
Yeah, Phantom Dancer, IE, and then Mortal Reminder. Grab a Sterox or a, what did I call it, Noon Quiver, or a Shield Bow, depending on whichever you're feeling, whatever flavor you prefer. Do have Albert in the top side here looking over the Garen, but nothing gonna happen. Tetra's able to keep the Dragon safe.
Oh.
Just barely clipped by the Yasuo Tornado, forced to flash and Ghost and ulti on the Sivir there. I think Teddy is staying a little too long. I think we just take what we can get and leave.
I mean, I believe he did use the spell shield there to actually dodge out on the E2 part of the Silas chains, but as we mentioned, you can only spell shield one thing: dodge the chains, which would have been a knockup for Yasuo to ult off of, but then you cannot dodge the tornado, which is the knockup to ult off of.
I, to be frank, I thought Teddy spaced it well enough, but apparently not. We have Paul M going for the invade here. Yasuo is still on the map. Exhaust goes down, barely able to sidestep the chains. Braum stun comes down. They have the Lilia ulti, able to force a flash out of her with that. That's gonna be Albert's blue side force fitted over.
Yeah, if Albert has 6 there on his own, on the Lilia himself, that'd have been a lot harder of an invade for him to pull off here, but dang, they're just taking the blue and may even get the Gromp.
Yeah, and again, it's just these invades are so potent. I mean, this Syndra, all things considered, is doing pretty great in the bot lane. Again, Braum really hates being outranged, and being into a Sona and a Syndra, Drakkar just respecting and blowing the flash there. Being into the Sona and the Syndra there is just kind of a nightmare situation for him.
So it's good they're at least able to get his flash out. Does overstay a little bit going for the second camp. So a nice little bit of a punish, but you're ultimately pretty big advantage of the jungle now for Drakkar. But Lilia is just going to go ahead and start up these grubs. Had knowledge that Drakkar was bot side, and even though both his solo laners are pushed in, I'm not sure if QC is going to read that Albert started this.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice boon for him as well. Looking to get a little bit of XP back on his side of the map. Garen loves the grubs. Sivir, pretty good sieging, even with her low range because of the wave clear, so also likes the grubs there. So I think it's pretty useful to pick up here. It's also good to deny from the side of QC as well. Yasuo does fantastic in a side lane, especially into such squishy targets.
Could look top here, coming right for a gank, although Chow does have flash almost up.
Yeah, enough mana for the ulti as well. I don't think anything's going to happen. Yeah, Brent's the ulti and just respects it. The wave is a bit abysmal, but I hope and pray this Garen doesn't push it.
See what he chooses to do, but nice job by Albert. They already know you're up there for the grubs, don't respect you and back off fast enough, so you get his ult out, and that's a little bit less pressure on the Garen now.
Yeah. After that first kill in the mid lane, it looks like Teddy's playing more respectfully, although it does have a pretty clear CS disparity between the two.
The problem with playing against champions like Yasuo, they make you play their own game. Like, they're not like other champions. Like, when you're playing against Yasuo, it's different than playing against any other champion in the game. You just have to, like, not walk up to the wave and give pressure, and Rat does a great job of using that, and as you said, just kind of built a significant CS lead on top of finding that solo kill for the first blood, which is the only kill in the game so far. But a little bit of a slower game pace. We are at 10 minutes, and whereas we had like a 2K gold lead last game, it's only about 700 in the favor of QC this time.
Yeah, I definitely agree here. I also think the slower pace definitely favors Albert's Inferno as well. It's an outscale all across the map. I'm not sure about the Silas Lilia scaling. I assume it goes in favor of Lilia because she's Lilia. This is how it goes. But I think every other lane outscales pretty harshly as well. Sivir obviously going to outscale Yasuo, even if Yasuo is really strong and has really potent scaling. Sona and Syndra goes without mentioning. Garen, great scaling by the way. People need to stop dogging on this character. Yeah. This character's broken.
That's why I feel like in season past, when Lispy was in the server as kind of the dominant top laner, Garen was banned against that guy every game because what's he a master of? Playing side lane, getting a ton of farm and scaling, and as you just said, when Garen scales and gets online, not really anybody that can deal with him. They are just going to go ahead and start a dragon here for the side of QC. With Sivir not having flash and with Lilia not having flash and on that top side, don't really think you're going to contest this, but there's not really any camps for Albert to go take, and kind of just going to get nothing here as a trade.
Yeah, the farm deficit here is just going to keep growing. It's already 5 camps in between the two, and with Albert having nothing to farm on the map, is going to turn his attention towards the top side. flash on the Gragas, ulti as well, but he's a lot lower HP this time around. If Albert can hit a clutch bowling ball here, or even get the sleep off, I think it could be curtains. Okay, great spacing on that. Can they get on top of him first damage in time? Didn't have the silence up from the Garen, so they're unable to get it. That is the flash and the ulti forced out there, though, as well. I do like that. This Garen has been doing much better than the Urgot was.
Yeah, I think in large part because Salas has not gone up there yet, really. But yeah, not having the silence there does allow Chow just to flash away. But again, a lot of pressure getting taken off of Brian this game, which is what you want to see. And as you mentioned, Garen does scale really well. And I don't think Brian is backed for a long time. I think if you pressed X, we would see a lot of gold in his inventory.
Yeah, 2.4k. Honestly, he might just stay for the full item. I wouldn't blame him. That's what I do a lot, especially on Garen with the passive to heal me up.
But I think as soon as he completes that item, it's going to be a really big, maybe potential turn in that 1v1.
It appears that Teddy is about to lose the cannon.
He says he's going to flash for it over the wind wall.
Honestly, I'd honor him if he did.
Baked or based, flashing for the cannon?
You have it no many times. I don't flash for my own cannons. I flash for Alex's cannons and then I take them.
And then we're wondering why he doesn't get MVPs. You're taking all his gold.
I'm wondering why he hasn't sent me a few letters in the mail. He did not flash for it and is able to try, and unfortunately has to drop the cannon.
He also can do a million annoying things. One of the most annoying is just when he does wind wall you off from farm.
I think playing the Yasuo game is especially difficult because the Yasuo game is like 4 games in one. The Urgot game, I don't want to walk up to the bushes. He's going to try to flash Emi level 1 with the freeze here due to the pause. The Yasuo game is okay. He's going to dash through all the wind walls. Okay, there's a stray knockup going up. He's going to dash on top of me and instantly kill me. He's stacking tornado off the chickens and trying to cheese me with that. There's a million things you have to watch out for, and it's hard.
Yep. Yeah, what's Yasuo's main weakness, in my opinion, is he does push just has to push the lane, so he can be vulnerable to ganks, but it's not like Sivir and Lilia really have much of an opportunity to punish him.
Okay, Drakkar going for the invade again here. Doesn't have a spell to mark Lilia crucially there, though. I don't think there's going to be anything else coming off of this invade. As we saw in the mid lane, Rat did just burn his flash and his ulti to chunk out the Sivir there. I think if they played their hand right, they could kill here. But it looks like it's going to be Paul moving for a little bit of pressure on the bot side.
Yeah, Lilia not having the ultimate up kind of prevents them from looking to turn that play. But yeah, Rat just continue to dominate the 1v1, which I mean is expected. I don't really think Sivir is that good into Yasuo, but blows Teddy's flash, almost killed him again. And it's just getting very strong. Farming just under 10 CS a minute, about 9 CS a minute on the Yasuo, looking really big this game.
Yeah, farm is pretty even across the board except for the two, sort of sour spots in the mid lane that they're going for Alpha's Inferno. Again, these invades, they're just so potent. And the Lilia has a much harder time on getting the Yasuo, or the silence there. I was going to do a stack check real quick. Syndra looks like she's going for the Splinters build. Hold on. Flash comes down there from the Sona in response to the ulti. Don't think she had a flash there. I think that was a little bit of a misclick.
Yeah, I'd like to see you, use that heal first, but just
or even
panic, used it there and
walk out of the way. There wasn't really a CC follow-up coming down, so I think this one was okay.
Now very vulnerable for the next 5 minutes to a potential Yasuo roam down or a Sylas game.
Yeah, Sylas feeling especially lethal now that he has this proto belt here. A lot more mobility and a lot more range for these ganks that can come out. Could be definitely dangerous. Misfortune looks like she's going for a lethality build. I definitely like this game. A lot of things to follow up with it on. And an incredibly squishy team comp from Albert's Inferno. We do have the Sylas looking on mid here, but Teddy's respecting it decently well. Not well enough to dodge the tornado though, and Rat just has enough damage to kill him.
Yep. That Kraken Slayer power spike on the Yasuo is massive, as you saw the damage right there. And he'd used the spell shield to dodge a previous tornado, but Rat can throw about 3 tornadoes or 4 in the time that spell shield comes back up.
no, we're gonna repeat the last game.
Oh!
Jakar in the top lane. Great alley-oop from Chow there. Able to drop him low, but that's passive resistance keeps him pretty healthy.
He's able to get into the turret, but they are just going to potentially kill or zone off here. That's just going to be a kill.
And the Justice comes out right there.
Fetal Warfare.
Fetal Warfare and a lot of minions that Brian is getting zoned
and
away from. Maybe
went from a 700
catching out
gold
Paul in
lead
here
to
though. Getting slowed by the crescendo right there, or the cube right there, and they could start up Dragon right here without the support. Teddy,
yeah, Paul just a little far
strong.
up there without his team. Yeah, I mean, it's not that they're too weak, but it's just the individual mid lane matchup is so difficult, and it's just not a ton of gank setup with any of their lanes. So this has kind of just been passing the time. Yeah, 2K gold lead on the side of QC.
Yeah, 2K gold lead and 1.2K of that is on the Osmo itself.
And he's about to just get first turret, or Gragas got it, but that's 2 turrets down at 1645 for the side of QC.
And considering what kind of a player Jakar is, going for these invades already, as soon as the tower falls, it's going to be rough. I don't know what the Windwall timer is. If he does have Windwall up, it's really difficult for the Solia to get the sleep off. She doesn't even have it. I didn't realize.
Didn't have sleep. Yeah.
Oh my. We do have the Sona moving over to mid right now, but she does get spotted out by the...
Gragas is here.
Bomba comes down, doesn't get the angle he quite wants. It's unfortunate has no ulti, so I don't think anything can happen.
Not enough
and it comes out.
And now it's a 3.3K gold lead for the side of QC, and they're kind of just ballooning this game and getting it into a really uncomfortable position for Alberts.
Yeah, and now with these towers falling down, it's just a field day for Jakar, really. It's just, all right, honey, it's 5 p.m. time for the invade. And I think Albert
and massive, yeah. The longer the lane too, the much easier it is for Yasuo to continuously run you down.
Yeah, exactly. This safety net is kind of just completely gone for Sivir. She can hold this tier 2 pretty well. Tier 2 is a lot safer than tier 1 from these dives ever since the map changes. And they have sent the Yasuo down to the bot lane, though honestly he can just 2v1. My hope remains in the Garen, but my eyes doth deceive me, and I do see a no magic mantle in the inventory, and that's just making me frowny face.
What's that gonna be? A Merc Treads?
If it's a Merc Treads, I think we can. We can start crying.
We start theory crafting the Metabusters Albert series. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit. I think you need a Swifties or Berserkers. Berserkers probably because you're just trying to 1v1 the meatballs.
Yeah, because
Swifties
Garen does have
Dragon.
built-in tenacity, correct? Like on his W.
Yep, built-in tenacity and should have the tenacity rune as well.
They're not gonna expect Braum to be there. I don't think, or maybe they did, but
yeah, able to sniff him out. They're
Either
taking
way.
cryo for this drag that isn't coming up for another 2 minutes and 30. Maybe looking for the spot tower to try to even something out, but you just have Jakar pushing in the mid wave and nobody there to catch it, so just a flank waiting to happen, really.
yeah, I will say, perhaps the angle for Alberts could be.
Oh
like
my
goodness!
goodness.
Whoa, max range. Oh,
Flashes right there. Oh my. Sleep comes down to the Lily
Teddy
and Sophia
just,
burst as well. Oh, and they still have the Rift Herald alive. I don't think it'll be able to get another crash, but I could be wrong.
I think it will.
No, I think it's going to shoot it.
Oh, not quite.
If the Sona was reactive enough there, could have hit him with the ulti, the flash R, and just gotten that shutdown there, but it's a really tight timing. I don't think they were expecting it to not get the crash. Another tower for rat poisoning as well. The gold lead is now 2.4k, nearly doubled since last time we checked.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a 6K gold lead total right now at 20 minutes, and they kept the first 10 minutes a lot closer this time, but as soon as that 10-minute bell tolled, it started getting really hard again, and this is going to be a on-spawn Otacon, basically, and they are TPing Garen down, like they kind of want to make their stand here. We'll see what it looks like. Potentially your angle is if Albert can find some massive multi-man sleep on the Lilia.
Yeah, able to get them to drop this Otacon
Yeah,
for the
but it makes
moment.
sense because there's no one top to answer the Gragas right now, and we'll just push that in.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
they're
know
just
if
going to
he.
try to go for it. The Yasuo has
I don't know
TP, but you do have a chunk on the Braum, and the Misfortune doesn't have her ulti yet. It just looks like it's going to be a call to give.
I don't know, man. At a certain point, you really can't even start it though, because then Gragas will just TP on that ward right there, and he's behind you. It's kind of an impossible spot for the side of Alberts right now, and they may just choose to get right back on to the Otacon if they realize that Lilia has roamed so far away. Sona gonna be in trouble here. Good flash, but not enough.
Yeah, this Yasuo is just so
Oh my
strong.
god.
So hard to kill, too.
Bert's lead crashed too, very unfortunately. Apparently he crashed right as that play was starting. That is
Yeah.
tough.
Just
Had the flash, had the sleep up, but I don't necessarily think it would have turned anything there. Not really
yeah.
anyone else that would have been there to follow up.
Mm.
Sivir and Syndra both so far away, but really good job of Drakkar hiding kind of off vision, caught Sona on that ward, and nothing Sona can really do about Sylas.
Yeah, maybe he could have survived there if his game didn't crash, but still, he's so far behind. A little bit of silence here.
Just going to be the Otacon for the side of QC, and I mean, they're just very, very comfortable in this game.
I mean, that's another Drake going over to the side of QC, Otacon down. I wouldn't be shocked with the damage they have on this objective if they just completely sign the Baron immediately. It is lethality Misfortune, a little bit slower than crit variant, but I mean, you got a Yasuo, and I think he might even have IE on base. Nah, it doesn't look like it exactly, but this Yasuo, he's just completely taking over the game. I feel like every time he's in a side lane, there's people that hover him and a pick happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, even if you thought, maybe the Garen could potentially match him, there's just no chance when he's this far ahead, so no one can match the Yasuo.
No one this Garen
right
has
now.
this build. I think the crit build would have been so much better this game.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned going Stride first, but is opting to go for a really defensive build. Kind of the same thing you saw last game. Built really defensively on the Urgot beyond that first item, and just, I don't know. It's hard.
Could maybe kind of pick on the Chow here, but Gragas is just such a safe side laner, Phase Rush Bomba just runs away from you. I feel like it's so hard to find anything, especially when this far behind. Oh, face checking the bush here. Alright, it's just getting nuked. Good sidestep right there. Oh my god, great movement coming out. And he's currently free hitting, but they have the Yasuo Wind Wall to save him. Flash is burned for Paul M. Maybe he can find Kage right now. Has no flash available, at least for a moment. Getting on top of him, there's going to be a shutdown going over the Sivir. Chow on the flank here. Has the Gragas ulti.
Also has ult.
Okay, gonna take the one and then follow up on top of the Sona, no flash there. So you're able to hit a good flash there as well.
Garen's back there on Sylas, though.
Oh, barely able to finish him off with the ulti there. Teddy does find his one. Can maybe keep going. Garen's still around. Gragas didn't get the reset on the E, so the cooldown's gonna be a little bit longer. Hope we can give this to Teddy. Garen takes it as well. I mean, shoot, that was pretty well played. A lot of flashes being forced to be burned. Over no objective as well is a little rough. I don't even think they can get this mid tower. But it's gold.
I mean, they did a nice job of
that.
playing that out. I mean, they did a nice job of playing that out from the position, but, as you said, just when you're this far behind, it's difficult because even when you find a favorable fight, your map's nowhere in a position to really, grab a turret, grab an objective, and you saw there the fight was good. They, I feel like they did a really good job of playing around the engage. Also got a good ult, but only on one person. And then, Albert had flashed, or excuse me, Omar had flashed and then disengaged, hit a nice scatter of the weak. But, they're fighting still. And you do get some gold onto the carries, and, you kind of have to hope that QC makes another mistake and you can kind of punish it and capitalize it on it again. But it's good to see them, continuing to, try and continuing to find those, positive plays where they can.
Yeah, I think Teddy with the 2 items now, Not a lot of armor from the side of QC, if any at all, really. It's just the locket from the Braum. Could be pretty good. Ooh, great stun coming out, forcing the flash into Kage. Could maybe get him here. One more auto. Perfect. Doesn't pop the barrier there. A little Scrimms. I think if it was a crit, though, Teddy still would have killed him.
I don't know if we want to start feeding Teddy.
Yeah,
he is a very scary player on the Sivir.
That's 2 on the Teddy scoreboard. Garen does have the Force of Nature coming out now as well. Very tanky, but I just don't like it. I do like the one defensive item into building full crit, so if I see a PD in the inventory, I'm a lot happier, but...
Yeah, I mean, you know, that item is some nice magic resist against the top side, but definitely does not help you at all if you ever end up versing the Yasuo. And
they see Albert bot side, and it's immediate pings to go onto the Baron there.
Well, they're going to try to kill the Garen first.
I don't know if they'll be able to. It's not panning over to him. I think he's slippery enough, but they have the wave coming up into the Yasuo as well. Yeah,
really nice job by Brian there to survive. And yeah, as you said, they didn't actually choose to go onto the Baron. And that's just another kill for Alberts and no counterpunch from QC. Really nice job picking off Chow.
Yeah, looks like they're going to start it up now. I think they might be none the wiser. Teddy could maybe sniff this out. Has a blue ward up. Damage a little bit slow. But they're just not even figuring that they're going for it. I think this is a real big blunder from Alberts.
Just not aware that I guess they'd go for it while down a man, and you're fighting it back pretty well, and to let them get a Baron uncontested when you had a man advantage on the map, that's really tough.
An immediate Yasuo TP down the bot lane. Is he going to be able to catch the Syndra here? No, not enough space.
I doubt it.
I also wanted to check the stacks on the Syndra. 110, so almost at that 120 mark. Gonna be a pretty big power spike for her. I also did want to check the Sona's stacks, but I assume she's already fully... Oh no, she's not fully stacked yet.
A little bit of a danger. It's guaranteed, and I don't think they can punish that. Jakar's sitting down there off vision. Teddy may walk right into him.
Jakar getting locked up by a lot there. The wind wall comes down. They're going to burst out. Shao maybe.
Teddy
somehow found. Misfortune ulti is huge. They get to sleep. Jakar is picked off by the Garen ulti.
A 1K shutdown.
Rat poisonings. Shield bow is popped. The Garen is trying to 1v1, but doesn't have enough damage. The Yasuo is super duper low.
What can Lilia do here?
Come up. It's really
They're
crucial.
doing it.
Nice wind wall coming out, and the spell shield blocks it. Oh my goodness.
Albert Inferno from like 5-6K down just finds an ace at the Dragon Pit.
First and foremost, I'm sorry for talking bad on the Garen. I'll change my notes real quick. It just went in there, it survived everything, and murdered like 2 people. Crucially, was able to get a ton of damage on the Yasuo because Garen E is a damage over time effect, kind of like how Misfortune is. Didn't wake up the Lilia, or the Yasuo through the Lilia sleep. Able to pop the shield bow through that as well. And great ulti from Kai. Great stun from how did I call Omar Teddy, because Omar's AD carry right now.
The scatter the weeks were wonderful there throughout that whole fight.
Has the haste build except for the shoes, but just able to fire off these scatters a week super duper quickly. I do remember what the cooldown on those.
All five players played that so exceptionally well, and I thought it was doomed because Rat found a really nice ultimate onto Teddy, but he was able to peel away. And as you just said, like everybody's played that so well. And yeah, you did kind of criticize the Garen build, but he bought so much time, and all he needed to do was put ultimate down on Jakar. And
he did, and a huge ulti from Albert as well.
Yeah, Albert played that fight really well too, and you know I do think Lilia's kind of the X factor here for their team composition.
Yeah,
a lot of work.
If the wind wall is ever down, she can do a lot of mass.
Yeah, and we've gone from like a 7K gold lead all the way down to just under 3K now, and
yeah,
really
and
nice
the
job
also
by
is pretty much the totality of that.
Yeah, you're right.
Or well, I should probably say the jungle.
Well, never mind. The jungle and the... But, you know, for the side of Albert here, it's very playable at this point. You just have to continue to find good fights. And if you're QC, I think you just need to take a deep breath and, you know, get back to what was working, and that is, you know, letting Yasuo get a little alone time with other characters on the map, and then when you are going to go in, guaranteeing that you have a good engage.
Oh, hang on. They could find something here. Garen with the Stride Breaker. Ulti comes out. Great ulti from Kai right there. Braum multi able to split them up. Misfortune going in for the follow-up. Oh, Kai
Oh, it's
kind of
big
just
damage
stands
on
there
the
and eats a
Sona.
lot of it. Oh no!
They hit Teddy!
Oh no, they just need to split out of here.
Garrett's just
Ryan going a
flashing
little
in!
deep, trying to be a hero and save everybody. Good flash coming down from Kai. Great scatter of the week right there, but it's not enough to save everybody. Could maybe burst your car, but he has the Zonies up as well. Looks like
He's
they're
gonna
going
go
for their play with
again.
that.
He hits him again!
Oh dear. Is that just
And
game?
it was...
They have a wave to
It
end
may
with.
just be game, yeah. It was looking so good, but overplayed their hand a little bit that time, and Drakkar found such a nice angle.
Drakkar was
Lilia
able to
does
sneak
still have
in.
sleep here, but
They do have the Yasuo
1v5, you
wind
just
wall.
can't really see the angle. Oh!
Unable to block it.
Sleeps everybody, but unfortunately no one else is there to do damage. And oh, nice job by Alberts to fight it back and to make this one kind of close towards the end, but ultimately just really a clean 2-0 by QC. And for me, the MVP this game would probably have to be Rat on the Yasuo. I thought he
Yeah,
played
very
exceptionally
clearly
well.
has to be Rat. I mean, a little bit carried by the fact that Yasuo, was in the Sivir instead of a real matchup.
I don't know.
But
Teddy trolled that too. Trolled that level 2 or 3 so
yeah,
hard,
but
dying first blood.
even
Yeah.
regardless, that was such fantastic gameplay. Tons of great ultis, tons of great E's from Drakkar as well. So many super
Yeah,
long range E's just to find somebody.
very good Silas player. Yeah. No
Yeah,
doubt.
I'd say Rat for the MVP there. You know, but
But just great games out of really everybody on QC between the two games. Like everybody had their moments. Just really good stuff, and kind of what I think a lot of people were projecting to see out of them in the playoffs. Going back to what is kind of, I guess, their starting lineup, and looking really dominant. And I'm excited to see the next round. I'm excited to see QC go up against either the winner of BB or NYNB. That should be really fun. But I'm really excited for that lower bracket matchup of Alberts versus Metabusters. That'll be a
yeah,
really, really fun one.
certainly do agree there. I think Metabuster's definitely a little bit bitter. Albert's just barely edging them out and getting to the top side of the bracket. I think they definitely want to rough
They
them
get
up
their
for
chance to
that.
prove it. I mean, if you feel like you should have been that fourth seed, here's your opportunity to prove it, and it should be a really fun one. And both those teams playing so well right now, and I mean, we're just set up for a great playoffs, great first series.
Yeah,
But
I
that's kind of
wholeheartedly
all I
agree.
got.
I don't know if we have anybody that wants to do an interview, nor if we have an admin to drag somebody, but I don't know. Pokes fingers together. Anybody listening? I'll take Mason at this point. I'm desperate.
I will not take Mason at this point.
I'll uh I'll ping them real quick and then we'll see. It looks like okay. It looks like Chow wants to get an interview. I'm just gonna ping admins.
They
Oh,
sent me over here
thank
because I
goodness
haven't been
gracious.
interviewed yet.
You're getting your chump changed, your sloppy seconds. Wow, that's cruel. Chow, even though it does not count in this playoff format, we did honor you with an MVP. I think you haven't gotten one yet.
Oh, cool.
So
Thank you.
congratulations. Claps all around, real quick. Rat Poisoning say best top laner is Chow, even though everybody voted for the other person on your team. How do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, my teammates are really good. They're the goats, so.
You're too humble. You gotta start saying mean things. That's how I got where I am.
What'd you think about the series tonight? What do you think your team did well, and do you think there's anything you could have improved on?
I think we played our early games out really, really well, and like even though, I mean, obviously our mid games were a little bit shaky in the second game especially, but we had a really good foundation going into the mid game and the late game just based off of how well we played in the early game, especially the first game. I think we talk a lot about the Rat Drakkar synergy, but I think mine and Drakkar synergy, as far as like getting Drakkar ahead through top lane, is really good too. So we
Definitely
kind of
saw
use that
that
to our
game.
advantage too.
Yeah, you set him up perfectly. What did you think about the Urgot pick into the Malachi? You opted to blind pick it, and I do. At least my opinion would be that champion does have some counter options available. Were you surprised to see Urgot? Do you think that's a good counter pick? Like, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think Urgot is a counter pick to Maokai, but it's not the best counter pick, I would say. Um, because Maokai, I mean, you saw I just built the Warden's Mail and he couldn't really damage me anymore, so Urgot really needs to get ahead in that lane to function, so he needs a lot of jungle pressure. If he can get an early Black Cleaver, then Maokai can't play the game, but that obviously didn't happen. It's not a terrible pick, but it's not the best thing he could have picked there.
Okay. Do you have a prediction for us? I'll ask it. Do you have a prediction on who your next opponent will be between Nutbusters and BB that will be playing on Tuesday?
Choose
You know,
wisely.
that's gonna be a really fun match. I think lane for lane they have some really interesting matchups there. Um, I think what's probably gonna decide that game is gonna be the mid matchup. I think both, or sorry, jungle matchup. My bad, my bad. Both junglers are very good. Uh, I think whoever plays better is gonna decide that matchup. So gonna be an interesting one to watch. I think BB probably takes it though.
And now we know that we're lying. Okay, we don't accept liars on these Scrims cast. I'm gonna have to ban you from the server. Anyways, yeah, you did get blind pick. You were forced to blind pick both games. Is that something that you communicated with your team? You're just like pick me whatever and I'll win, or was that more of a we need to give bot lane priority
No,
so
no,
it's Teddy?
we discuss pretty much we discuss all of our picks a lot. So we kind of think about what we want ahead of time, and then as the draft's playing out, we try and think about what we want to pick ahead of time. So we're not just rushing something. Um, I think the two options I was saying there were either Gragas or Akali. I'm confident on both. So, but I think they liked Gragas better for the Yasuo synergy, so we went with that instead.
Hmm.
I mean Gragas is really hard to punish. He's a very very safe laner, so
Yeah, I hate that character.
yeah. I mean it's definitely not. It's definitely a little bit of a cancer matchup, but you got to do some. You got to do some dirty work if you're blind picking on blue side as the top laner. That's
I just pick Kaisa and then I win. I don't know what you're
yeah.
doing. There are no mad matchups if you have enough feng shui.
That's true. That's true.
Anyways, I'm trying to think of any
Kind of all
other
I had.
questions.
Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say? Any shout outs?
Uh, Shout out my teammates. Shout out the casters for putting in the work here. Shout out to Dean for putting all this together. Very cool. Very cool. A lot of effort it takes to put together a website, the bot, the podcast, all this stuff. So really big shout out to him.
Okay, well, thank you, Chow, and we look forward to seeing your next match. That'll be really fun.
Yeah, I look forward to it too. Later, guys.
Of course.
Well,
All
Blake, I
right.
guess we can kind of close. I would just say, everybody make sure you tune in on Tuesday for Big Bananas versus New York Nutbusters. Kind of a rematch of, what was one of the final matches we saw at the end of the regular season, and a really hyped one, obviously. A lot of history there, a lot of back and forth between those teams. And I'll just say it right now. Frankly, I think Nutbusters can put up a much better showing than we saw from them the last time. So I expect Tuesday to be a
Oh, you
super
believe
competitive,
in
fun
me,
series.
Brewer? Anyways, I think it's a fool's errand to bet on anybody but the Busters. I'm gonna put my cinema hands in the air and I'm gonna say you better be there on Tuesday, or else.
Or else, okay.
All right. Thank you everybody for stopping by. Again, next game, Big Bananas versus Nutbusters Tuesday. Be there or be square. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight.
Peace.